I got it. That was easy.
Hat tip Asmongold. Ahoy, welcome to the Captain's Cast. That was Asmongold, if you're wondering what was that sound, if you're just listening. That was Asmongold trying to pick a lock in Oblivion. Welcome to the Captain's Cast. I am your host, Captain Garrett of the Swords and Starships channel. Mr. Producer, do we have audio? Do we have microphone audio? We do. Do we have desktop audio? Could they hear that whole thing? Sure they could, because your captain was on it. This is the Swords and Starships channel, and today we've got lots to talk about in the stack of stuff. Tom Cruise is... He is the professional. He's not a professional. He's the professional. I often say that the types of creatives that take millions and millions of dollars and turn it into crap, like the Acolyte and Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny and Madam Web, I say that they are truly stupid people who eat glue, which is kind of a joke. It's kind of a, I'm sure they're good at some things. They're just not good at what they do. You know what I mean? So what is the opposite of that? Well, the opposite of that is Tom Cruise. He's great at what he does. He's a professional. He has a work ethic. And he might be crazy, but he keeps it to himself. And that is important, unless your job is to be live on the internet. To you, chat, we have Universal is in the chat. Ahoy! Says, ahoy, Captain and Hearties. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers. Yes, happy Mother's Day. You know, I was going to put together, and happy birthday, Mother, if you're out there. She doesn't watch the show. It's just not her cup of tea. I'm kidding. She does sometimes. She accounts for like 30% of my viewership. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. So I was going to assemble a reel of Mother's Day clips and like my top 5 favorite scenes involving a mom in movies, and I got to the first one. Which was the scene in Forrest Gump when his mother is like, he races home to see his mother who's sick, and he has this sort of final conversation with her. And it's like the most beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful scenes in movie history, and it just completely broke me down, and I started ugly crying. It was a mess. It was a total mess. I lost it. I hadn't seen the scene in a long time, and all these emotions came up, and I was just like, yeah, that's not going to work out. I can't play that on stream and keep it together. So, because it's too much, There's a great line in the excellent Western remake 3:10 to Yuma with Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. I mean, just such an exceptionally good film. And there's such a great scene when Russell Crowe, who is playing the murderer that Christian Bale has to take back, he has to take him to a train station, the Yuma train station, to get him back into custody because he escaped custody. And so they're escorting this criminal back, and one of the marshals is pushed off a cliff and killed by Russell Crowe's character, and it's because the marshal had been insulting his mother. And he has such a great line after he kills the guy. He's basically like, even bad men love their mothers. Or no, it was even bad men love their mamas. And I was like, respect. So there you go. Why are all your messages retracted, Universal? Why are you retracting all your messages? I saw them. There was nothing untoward. Don't censor yourself, Universal. This is an uncensored I mean, within reason, obviously. Don't go all yay on us or anything. But if you know, you know. Stafford is in the chat. Says Jeremy is an undeserving HO3. Jenny. I'm sorry, Jeremy. I was like, why is D-Day Cobra catching strays? Jenny is an undeserving. Oh, come on, Star Fury. She came around, didn't she? You know what's interesting? So the next scene after that one, because I wasn't done just, having an emotional moment over that scene. Yeah, because it was making me think about my mom and my life and all that sort of thing. And it just YouTube just autoplayed the next recommendation, which was the scene where Jenny and Forrest are talking about their, because they're finally together, but it's kind of their last scene together. Jeez, everybody dies in that movie. But I was struck by the notion that, everyone sort of hates Jenny because she spends the whole movie rejecting Forrest unfairly. Well, she does care about him, but she's so lost herself that she just can't accept happiness for herself. And so she spends the whole movie breaking Forrest's heart. And of course, we all, are rooting for Forrest. So she comes across as the bad guy in that situation. But what struck me about it is the tragedy of Jenny's story is that she finally accepted love into her life and found peace, but it was too late. It was too late. She waited too long. And so really her story kind of comes across as a sort of caution. It's a tragedy. It's just as much a tragedy for Forrest as it is for her, as it is for Forrest. So Starfield, jeez. Yeah, have you no pity, dear Starfield? Okay, what else? So we have other stuff to talk about, the stack of stuff. We have to talk about Andor, because I have thoughts about Andor, which might surprise you if you are new to the channel. The discussion around this show is really interesting. I would say that you either love it or hate it, but most people aren't even watching it and don't care about it. However, those that are paying attention to it, such as myself, seem to be very divided on the show. I think it's kind of the same divisions as before. Like, is this, whether it's good or not, is this Star Wars? Like, does this make sense for Star Wars? And we'll get into that. I'm going to settle the argument for you, so stay right here. I am making excuses for Jenny. No, Starfear, I'm not making excuses. I was just as pissed as you were that whole movie. I'm saying, you have to understand. I guess I am making. She was abused as a child. Come on, Starfury. She was messed up. It wasn't her fault any more than it was Forrest's fault that he was a little slow. The great American tragedy of Forrest Gump. It's actually a story about how we really are our own worst enemies. I mean, that's really what the story of Forrest Gump is. The story of Forrest Gump is a story about how humans, all of us, are our own worst enemies. We sort of get in the way of our own desires and our own needs and our own goals. In so many ways, and Forrest is the character through which we see this, because Forrest is immune to this condition. Forrest is the one character who doesn't have this flaw. He simply accepts reality as it comes. He accepts everything that enters his world. He simply accepts it without question because he doesn't know any better. And it's in that acceptance that he becomes this kind of anchor for everyone else in his life. He's reliable, he's loyal, he's trustworthy, he's unfailing, and he simply never gives up, no matter the odds, no matter the circumstances, because he just doesn't know any better. And the story, the beauty of that story is that if all of us just didn't know any better, but to tell ourselves we can't do this, or we don't deserve that, or this is impossible, or that's stupid. If we didn't get in our own way, we'd have much better lives. And that's the story of Jenny. It's the story of Lieutenant Dan. It's the story of a lot of the other characters that Forrest encounters throughout. I think it's brilliant. It's a really brilliant story. It's so good. Universal, I do agree that it is not Star Wars that we should have. This Star Wars is too real and not space fantasy. I don't view Star Wars as space fantasy. I think that's reductive to view it that way. I think that's how we categorize it in retrospect. But I don't believe it. Look, there was never any shortage of space fantasy. That's not what made Star Wars unique. I think what made Star Wars unique was the meaningful nature of the story. I think it was the moving nature of the story. And the story is about, well, in many ways, the underlying thematic elements of Star Wars is the constant battle against suffering. Maybe that's a little too deep. Maybe that's a little too philosophical. How can I put this a different way? I think Star Wars is a story about the human struggle between the darkness within us and our better angels. And that is manifest in the story through the Empire versus the Rebellion, and the dark side versus the light, the Jedi way of sort of discipline, peacefulness, and in some cases passivity, acceptance, versus the Sith way of passion, desire, vengeance, giving into all of those things. And so I think to tell that story meaningfully, I think you have to involve things like violence. I think you have to involve things like tyranny and oppression. Andor is the story of the Empire's oppression minus the heroic Jedi to stop them. I mean, that's the point. I don't think that Andor reasonably can be anything other than what it is. So we'll get into my thoughts on that in more detail. And then we have The Last of Us. Potato Face is out there. Look. She's a character actor. Anthony Timmons is in the chat. Ahoy, Anthony Timmons. Welcome aboard. Assume your post. Bella Ramsey. She belongs in other things. She was great in Game of Thrones as the annoying little, child lady that was kind of doing the best she could. That's fine. That's like a character actor role. She's great at that. There's plenty of other character actor roles out there. But they're trying to put her over and make us like her. That's the thing. You cannot make people like people. You can't do that. Why does Hollywood think they could do this? So we're going to get into it. Okay, what's in the stack of stuff? We got lots to... Oh, that is the first time I've seen in my back office I have the right settings for YouTube. That's great. I still can't get the stupid video lag sharing issue to resolve. I don't know how to resolve that. I'll have to figure it out. So when I share my desktop to share a video, I can share the audio. I just can't share. I can't share the frame rate. I don't know why I can't do that. Universal says episodes 1 to 3, I assume Andor, got 248 million viewers and not in the top 10 charts. Yeah, I mean, it's not, nobody's watching it. But to me, that's sort of irrelevant to whether or not I'm enjoying it, because so far, I would say the last... How many episodes have come out? Because they release 3 a week. I think we're up to episode 9, aren't we? Of Andor. All I can tell you is, other than the first 3 episodes, which I think were slow, boring, dull, and mostly a waste of time. Every episode since then has been pretty exceptional, I would say. And I've been absolutely engrossed in everything after that point. And I was blown away by these last few episodes. I loved them. I absolutely loved the last few episodes of Andor. Thought it was excellent. And, and if you don't think that this is a brilliant and insightful show, then fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go campy on you. John Roca, fuck you. Fuck you if you don't agree. Can you imagine? I could go full shield. Star Fury says, I don't care. Yeah, I know. I understand. I understand if you don't care about Andor. I totally get it. And it honestly, in the long run, objectively speaking, it doesn't matter. Like, Andor doesn't matter at all. It will never have real cultural relevance. It won't change anything with Disney Star Wars. It's an interesting curiosity on the deck of the Titanic as it's going down. It's sort of the band playing on the Titanic as it goes down. It's it as a piece of as a contribution to the Star Wars canon. Regardless of its quality, of its high quality, it's worthless. It's worthless. Andor is worthless to the Star Wars canon. Because the Star Wars canon has been gutted and destroyed by Disney Lucasfilm, Disney-owned Lucasfilm. So I agree with you that I agree with the reasons why you don't care. And I also would say objectively, Andor doesn't matter, but taken in isolation and just enjoying it for what it is and temporarily pretending that the rest of Disney garbage doesn't exist, I fairly love it. I fairly love it. Now, it does have problems. It has some serious problems, and we'll get into that. But I will just say that, like, maybe we should just lead with Andor, and then we'll get into the Tom Cruise stuff here in a minute. One reading of this show goes, it's too dark for Star Wars. It's too dismal. It's not the right tone, and that may be the case. Fair enough. But here's my take on it. My take on it is Andor is the story of the Empire's tyranny, ruling over the galaxy, as I mentioned earlier, without the hope of the Jedi to stop them. And I think that therein lies its excellence. Therein lies its brilliance, because it's about how can normal people fight such a powerful enemy. And they are a powerful enemy, the Empire, in this. They are extremely intelligent and clever in what they're doing, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. I just like that all the characters are so razor sharp, mostly. Andor's a little slow. But I like that the characters are so razor sharp, both the Rebels and the Empire. And that they're playing this, they're locked in this death match, this chess death match. And I thought that essentially what we had in these last 3 episodes was it built up to the it was a Palpatine maneuver. I mean, this was established in the prequels. Palpatine loves to create a crisis, then engineer the response to that crisis, and then allow that to be the reason that he gets what he wants. And so he basically did the same thing he did with the Republic. He did it to this planet Gorman, right? This wealthy, connected, privileged planet with a very, very high reputation and a lot of political clout that he couldn't just race in and take it, because that would have looked bad, right? He couldn't get away with that just yet. So instead, he engineered a rebellion on Gorman by persecuting Gorman. So he created the crisis, and then he created the response to the crisis, and then he used that to steal it, right? And I thought the way that all played out in these 9 episodes was, with the exception of just the slow pace of the first 3, it was really good. There's something extremely haunting and terrible about how it all plays out. Like, it's typical Tony Gilroy style, and I think his brother, if I'm not mistaken, is helping him write the scripts for the show, because I was watching the writer credits, and essentially you have it play out in this very grounded way. And what struck me about it is it was very similar to the kinds of things that the Soviets would do and Germany would do back in the early 20th century to create for example, the starvation of Ukraine by Stalin, or the false flags operation, the false flag operation against the Poles to justify the invasion of Poland in 1939. Like, those events were very closely, you could tell that he was kind of mirroring how those things played out on Gorman. Essentially, the Empire created deliberately a situation that would require them to crush Gorman. And then they just start, and I said, look, it's dark, and it's dismal, and it's bleak. I grant you that. I think it's supposed to be. I think it has to be. This is about the Empire basically murdering a planet to steal what it has to build the Death Star. That's the story. The story is they need essentially this crystalline substrate mineral that basically is the bedrock of this planet. So in other words, they need to strip out the bedrock that's holding up the crust of this planet. And when they strip it all out, the planet's going to be uninhabitable. It's going to basically be a dead world. A world with thousands of years of history and culture and traditions. The Empire is going to strip mine it and leave it a barren wasteland. And so they just begin that process. And they create this. I think one of the most haunting things about it is they create this false narrative. They create this false narrative about how Gorman is spreading misinformation about the Emperor and stuff like that. And so they start demonizing. They have this long, years-long campaign of like building the narrative in the minds of all Imperial citizens that Gorman is this terrorist planet, that it's this problem planet, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And what is the Empire going to do with it? And so these poor people have no idea why they're being persecuted. They have no idea why them. They don't understand it. And it makes no sense to them. But it just keeps getting worse. And when they fight back, it gets even worse. And the Empire wants them to fight back. That's the whole point. So they have a reason to crush them, right? And there's this character in it. Let me grab it. I should have had it up, Mr. Producer. Andor Season 2. No, just give me Andor. There we go. He's one of the Gormani. I can't find him in here. I can't find the name of the character. So he's a supporting character. So he's basically this older patriarch of a family on Gorman. He owns a very wealthy shop that's been in the family for years, and he's kind of leading the early rebellion on Gorman, the early resistance. And somewhere along the way, he realizes this is what they want, and he changes his mind. He has a change of heart. He suddenly realizes that fighting the Empire is giving them what they want, and something's not right here, and he tries to talk all of his rebel cell out of what he originally talked them into. He wanted to fight in the beginning. Now he realizes it's folly, but nobody will listen to him. And I find that reversal an incredibly it's a very powerful, strangely hyper-realistic situation that just twists the knife of the tragedy of it. Is that this guy realizes too late that the rebel movement he started is exactly what the Empire wanted to begin with, and it's what they're going to use to kill his planet. And that's basically the resolution of the episode. Is the Empire moves in, they crush these people, and they begin the harvest of their planet and its final destruction. And it's like it's absolutely horrifying, and I pretty much love that part. I also really loved Andor having to extract Mon Mothma from the Senate. She basically gives a speech that stands up to the Emperor, and just as a story beat, I think that's great. But she gives this kind of speech where she finally just tells the truth to the Senate and tells the truth about Emperor Palpatine, and then she immediately has to be extracted. And there is this amazing action sequence where Andor just guns down anyone that tries to get in their way. And the shock on Mon Mothma's face when Andor just uses dirty tricks to just gun down anyone that might be a threat it's pretty remarkable, and I absolutely loved it. And that's what Andor should have been doing. That's what he should have been freaking doing in the first season. But that's not important right now. Now, Mon Mothma's speech to the Senate is pathetic. It is one of the most pathetic eye roll things because you know what it is? It's literally like an empty, hollow it's assembled from platitudes. It's an empty, hollow speech written by ChatGPT, and it's all surface details. And it's truth. It's basically a thing about the death of truth means the death of freedom. And it's like, there's no actual substance to the speech. And it's exactly the kind of thing you'd hear from like Kamala Harris, just like ma democracy or something. And so it was really lame. It was very disappointing. I was disappointed because I was like, I would much rather have heard a speech that was more personal, that actually said something unique and interesting. And I don't think that they knew what to have her do. And so it came across as a bunch of platitudes, a bunch of cliches. I really disliked it a lot. And it's typical. It's typical of writers who I don't think really even understand the Western values of liberty anymore. I just don't. I don't think they view traditional Western Enlightenment era values of common law and Republican, that's small r, Republican government and separation of powers and all of those things, right? The actual, where our rights actually derive from, natural law and the creator. I don't think they view all those things as kind of American jingoism now. And so whenever they're talking about freedom, democracy, being fearless, fair, brave, and true, those are just words to them. They aren't principles that they live by, because you can see in their deeds that the minute it's inconvenient for them to uphold their own principles, for example, they'll say something like, no one is above the law until it's the person that they need to be above the law. So that's what I'm getting at. They're hypocrites. And it was just, but honestly, I'm not, what was the message in it? Not really. It just was cliches. It was just a very cliche speech, and it was very lame. However, the final destruction of Gorman struck me as very real, very grounded, and it was the answer to my question of what is the tyranny of the empire that had to be answered. And I think that was very lacking in the first 3 episodes of the season, but it was very much delivered in the last 6 episodes of the season. And I'm just calling it like it is. I quite enjoyed the episodes, and I think that if the rest of Disney Star Wars had been done with this level of, to use Elon Musk's very brilliant phrase, care and competence, caring and competence. If that had been applied to all of the other Star Wars shows and films, we would not be where we are. And I'm not even saying I think Tony Gilroy's vision of Star Wars should be the vision of Star Wars. I don't. I think it's a great vision for the dark reflection of life under the Empire. I think life under the Empire should be dark. It should be bleak. It should be as close to absolute hopelessness as humanly possible. Now, you can argue that you don't want to watch a show about that. Fair. And I'm not going to disagree with you. If you think that there should not be a show in the Star Wars universe that shows this, fine. But I still think that this is implied in George Lucas's story. I think that this is implied. Because why the hell else does Luke Skywalker hate the Empire? Why is Leia risking everything? Why is she withstanding torture to stop these people? If you ask me, I still remember my first actual connection to Star Wars, because I had seen it as a kid, but I never was into it. Honestly, didn't even grasp the story, because I always would watch the episodes out of order, so I honestly didn't even know which thing happened first. Until the re-release in theaters. I went to see the re-release of the original trilogy, and I remember sitting in A New Hope, and the most powerful scene to me that initially was that scene where Vader and all of the top brass of the Death Star are sitting around that table, and they're discussing having abolished the Imperial Senate, and Vader's the last of the old Jedi religion. And I just remember feeling the darkness and the malevolence and the sort of bureaucratic banality of evil. Like, all of that was contained in that scene. Like, these are murderers in this room. These are police state fascists in this room. These are totalitarian monsters in this room. And the worst of them, of course, is Vader. And I love this. And of course, that's the famous scene where he's like, I find your lack of faith disturbing. And you see what monsters they all are. And so to me, that implied the bleak, hopeless misery that we see in Andor. Whether or not we should have showed it on screen, that's another discussion. But it was there. Whether we saw it or not, it was there. And so I think Andor is doing exactly what it has to do to get this right. A few missteps, obviously, and there's things in it I don't like, which I've discussed ad nauseum on this channel. But I will just say that so in the answer to the debate, is this Star Wars or is this not? Of course this is Star Wars. The Empire was a brutal, murderous regime that had no one to oppose them with a lightsaber because they were all dead. Yoda was in hiding. Obi-Wan is in hiding. Luke was yet to come. There was no one to oppose the Emperor. And so this is the story I would expect to see. And I don't think every Star Wars story should be like this. But when I'm seeing the nightmare that the rebels were fighting to get rid of, I expect to see this. I expect to see bleak and miserable. You know, I've commented a lot on this channel about how much I dislike the Game of Thronesing of everything, which is to say, protagonist, we're going to kill off our main characters, such as Joel in The Last of Us. We're going to have, everything has to be a red wedding. Everything has to be nihilism. And my objection to those things is not those things. My objection is to those things being everything. My objection is those things being everywhere. Not every story needs to be Game of Thrones, but some stories do. And Andor, in my view, is a story that needs to be bleak. It needs to be dark. And because it's meant to build up to the coming of the dawn, right? Rogue One, the rebellion, and ultimately Luke's victory. His desperate, needed victory at the Battle of Yavin, which is daybreak, right? So I think that's all to the good. What do you think, chat? Am I off my nut on this? Universal says, overall, not enjoying Andor 2, enjoying only good parts, which are not enough. Should not be 12 episodes. I agree. Should be 6 episodes. Too much filler, too much character writing. Gorman Massacre bored me. Yeah, I mean, I would say that if the final set pieces of Andor are not your style, you're probably not going to ever like one of them. Because I enjoyed the final set piece of the season 1 finale. I enjoyed the prison break. I enjoyed a lot of those things. And I think that if you're not into that, you're just not into it. But I don't know. I think that the thing about Andor is this is not a show about... It's not a show about blaster battles. It's a show about human tragedies under the rule of the Empire. That's really what it is. And when it's too slow, it's not so much that it's too slow, it's that it's off track. It's misaligned. And I think, like, for example, I think that when the show is doing well, the characters are in alignment with their archetypes. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, such as Andor extracting Mon Mothma. That's the kind of thing he should be doing. And when he's doing that, it's great. When he's not doing that, it's boring. Universal saying viewership numbers doubled every week. Wait, I missed it. Chat jumped on me. Every week and are in top 10 charts. So some fans are enjoying it. Not sure which fan base is enjoying it. I myself overall am not, but I'll admit there are a few good parts. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. You say you agree, Universal. Many parts that could have been good and must-see and memorable were underwhelming. Star Fury says, I enjoy political and spy intrigue. Somehow John Le Carre with Stormtrooper just doesn't work for most Star Wars fans. We want pew pew bang bang. We are simple souls. Why can't we have both, Star Fury? That's all I'm saying. I think we can have both. Now, the problem is we don't have both. To your point, we don't. This is the only good thing. This is other than Rogue One, which basically is the same thing because Tony Gilroy was heavily involved in Rogue One. I mean, this is his project. Andor is the story that ends with Rogue One. So it's the only good thing in Disney Star Wars, in my view. And Force Awakens was almost a good thing, but for the fallout of what happened later and other problems that it has in retrospect. However, so what I'm saying is I think that if Star Wars were in good health, we'd probably have 3 or 4 good pew pew bang bang shows, as you suggest, and then this would be kind of that one sort of cerebral meditation on the darkness of the Empire. I think that'd be great. I mean, if Mandalorian were done the way it should be, we'd have this awesome, gritty space western with lots of pew pew bang bang, lots of, killing bad guys or bringing them in. Like the first episode of Mandalorian was exactly what the show needed to be. A stranger in armor shows up at a bar, and he hauls out some guy and freezes him in carbonite, and he's like, he drags him out, and he's like, I'm going to sell you for coin. Like, that's great. Or credits, I guess it would be credits in Star Wars. I'm saying we could have both, we don't. So if this is the only good thing we get, I can understand the objection, certainly. Universal says, Star Fury, I too enjoy spy books. My favorites are Le Carre, Ludlum, Clancy, etc., etc. No love for Vince Flynn, huh? Aside from Vader killing his father, did they ever explain Luke's hatred for the Empire? No. Well, it's implied. Well, come on now, Universal. They also barbecued the aunt and uncle. They killed Aunt Beru, man. So he had more reasons, but well, I guess that's what I'm saying I like about Andor, is it's answering that question. Like, what was so... Now, the movies don't need to answer that question, because in the movies, it's implied. So Luke says, I hate the Empire, okay? The rest of the movies show you what the Empire is. They're ruthless, they use torture, they're genocidal, they destroy planets. So Universal, they may not have, done a flashback, but the rest of the films easily reveal why the Empire is so odious and hated. Like, literally every minute of the original trilogy is revealing that. So I would say it's implied, and there's not really any... It doesn't require any more than what you see in the films, I think. The same with Leia. She's a rebel, but they don't explain the evil she is fighting. Sure they do! She gets tortured. In the first movie. Like, it's not... I think... I'm not I'm not criticizing you, Universe. I'm just saying I'm disagreeing vigorously, okay? It's all there. What they don't show is... So maybe I should slightly correct what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that the original trilogy did not show the evil of the Empire. They did. But it was through the perspectives of the characters that were our heroes, and they're in this battle with them. I guess what I like about Andor is it's showing the story of, so what was the average person's experience? What was society like before there was a robust rebellion? Like, before the actual war against the Empire, what was the Empire like? And I think that is just a really fascinating and interesting... I mean, it should be. It should be. Now, I think the biggest problem with Disney Star Wars is that it's too fixated on Empire versus Rebellion and Sith versus Jedi. That is the only conflict anyone will ever show in this universe ever again. And I think that George Lucas was more creative than that. He may not be the best writer of dialogue, But he did have imagination as to where this universe could go next. And in retrospect, I think we'd all would have liked to have seen that. Darth Merlin is in the chat. Ahoy, Darth Merlin. Assume you'll post some. Absolute hopelessness under the Empire would ensure the Empire would not last very long. I think life under the Empire was probably tolerable as long as you kept your head down and your mouth shut. Well, yes, and I agree with you, and I think Andor shows that. Andor does show that. There's a lot of characters that are much happier to just go along to get along. And I actually think the destruction of Gorman shows that, because if the Empire if the Empire simply did whatever they wanted, they would have just invaded Gorman and crushed it. But they knew that would turn the people against them, and they would be spending too much political capital, and they couldn't afford to do that. Plus, the bigger problem is everybody in the galaxy would be asking why. What the hell did the Empire want on a world known for fashion? Like, why would you crush a planet known for fashion? What else does the planet have? Which would have led the public to figure out, well, there's some kind of valuable mineral there. What do they need that mineral for? Which might have ultimately exposed the building of the Death Star, because they did not want the galaxy to know about the building of the Death Star until it was complete. So they had to engineer a reason for the public to look the other way when they crushed Gorman. And I actually think that's pretty brilliant. I think and that illustrates that the Empire's power is not limitless, and that they have to make life tolerable for most people. And it was the same with the Soviet Union, and it was definitely the same in a certain era of Germany, because as long as you weren't part of the groups that they were after, and you kept your mouth shut and did what you're, saluted the right flag, then you were mostly fine. And that's the evil of totalitarianism. Star Fury says, Star Fury making the same point. Luke's aunt and uncle killed by the Empire. Star Fury, but what does that imply about the Empire, right? The fact that Luke's aunt and uncle were killed, it implies that they do this kind of shit all the time. And they wiped out the poor Jawas. The poor Jawas, man. They mowed them all down like they were harmless. They were little thieves and a bit annoying, but they weren't like evil or anything. And the Empire just was like, they just shot them up for no reason. So the movie shows you. Well, see, this is the thing. Woke storytellers are terrible at this, because they would have had some stupid character telling you, oh, the Empire is very bad. They're genocidal, and they're racist, and they kill people. It's bad. And it's like, that's what's so lame about modern storytelling. The best type of storytelling is show, don't tell, right? Show the audience why the Empire is odious and evil. You just show what they do. And Lucas did a good job of that in the original trilogy. Show us how the Empire treats the people that they capture. And we see that. Right? We also see their bigoted points of view in like how they treat Chewie, right? When Han Solo's pretending, they're pretending that Chewie is a prisoner, and one of the officers sees him. He's like, "Where are you taking this thing?" It's like that illustrates how the Empire looks at other species without telling you that they're a bunch of racist pigs. Down with the patriarchy, so you don't need all that shit, because it's all just, we see what they are. Star Fury says, absolutely brilliant, absolutely banality of evil, efficient but unpleasant, but the trains run on time and you get bread, you manage to get by. Yeah, and I think Andor illustrates all of that. I really do. And I think to some extent, I think that's why some people don't like it, frankly, because it's too real. It's too hyper real. It's why I like it. It just is. Universal says, Starfire also says, the only good thing about Rogue One is Vader. The rest is shit. I mean, that is the best part. It is the best part. But Rogue One's fun. I like Rogue One. The False is with me. I am one with the False. The False is with me. I thought that was cool. Universal says, "Ahoy, Merlin. Awesome name. Merlin is a favorite character of mine." Darth Merlin says, "Luke said he hated the Empire, but he was going to join the Imperial Academy." No, what? No, he wasn't. Wait, was he? Let me think about this. He wants to join the Academy. Well, I mean, I would assume that any, like, higher institution is going to be owned by the Empire anyway. So he wanted to be a pilot. I don't think Luke was saying he wanted to, like, be an Imperial. I think but he wanted to go, he just wanted to get off Tatooine. And where, if you're not going to literally join the rebellion, you're going to be an Imperial citizen. Like, that's your only choices, right? Starfury says, everyone generically dislike their government. They take money out of your paycheck every week. Yeah, exactly. Starfury says, the blast patterns were too precise. Ben Kenobi uncovering the Sand People hoax of the Jawas murder. I know, right? The Jawas, man. They just gunned them down for no reason. They were no threat to them. That's the Empire. That's what they are. It's like they take what they want and they don't give a crap. Okay, now we have a video on this. Okay, so I do not know. We have a Knights of Melvin video to share. I have not done a Knights of Melvin video, so I'm going to see what his thoughts on Andor are. And I don't think he likes Andor. I don't think he likes it at all. Okay, where is... now, I agree with his thumbnail, though. I agree with the thumbnail. The guy they got to play Bail Organa sucks. He sucks as Bail Organa. It's awful. You know what the other thing that's odd about this, too? So the show is basically taking place not very long before the Battle of Yavin. So we're so every 3 episodes kind of advances a year. And so we're up to like 2 BBY, that would be before Battle of Yavin. And so we're seeing the Imperial Senate. So why are we not seeing Princess Leia? And I'm not saying we need to see her, but why are we not even hearing about her? Like, we never hear about Princess Leia in the show, which I do find odd because we see Bail Organa. So why is Leia never referred to in the show? That's odd to me. And I was thinking, because it is the right time period. She's doing stuff. Wasn't Leia a senator? I've always thought Leia was a senator, but maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe she was just a princess and it was her dad that was the senator. Her adopted dad, that would be. All right, let me get Are we sharing desktop audio, Mr. Producer? Yes, we are. Okay, good. So, hat tip, Knights of Melvin.
Do what must be done.
Avenge Star Wars.
Do not hesitate. Has
been released, and the Disney shills are shilling hard for the show, saying stuff like, it's the best Star Wars since Revenge of the Sith. It's better than Empire. This is the best Star Wars we ever had.
Okay. I do hate that shit. Because the show is written like a kind of hard-boiled appointment TV HBO show. It's so plausible and it's so realistic, and it's like therefore it is the best. And it's like, that's Rian Johnson energy, and I hate that shit. As I said, I think that in the broader picture of Star Wars, a show that's sort of bleak and meditative like this is fine. Should this be Star Wars more broadly? No. This should be kind of like an entry in Star Wars that shows you something interesting, but this should not be the overall tone and theme of Star Wars.
Unfortunately for the shills, all this shilling and nonsense that they're spreading doesn't seem to be working because the ratings are terrible, and this highly expensive show is losing money. Andor is
So, Starfear, you say stormtroopers were excellent soldiers until the comedy of episode 6 onwards. After that, stormtroopers are now Benny Hill characters running around at double speed to that music. Yeah, so you're right, of course, that's what happened in episode 6, but also episode 4 didn't help either, because the characters have so much damn plot armor. That's the problem. Like, Luke, Leia, and Han Solo have so much damn plot armor that the stormtroopers look like they're incompetent. But what's great about Andor is that the stormtroopers are lethal and dangerous in the show. And when they show up, it's very bad. It's very bad for the average citizen, because they're endless, they're armored, and they're well armed, and they will just march into anything, and they will just keep shooting until everything is dead. That's how they're portrayed in Andor, and I think and they're only deployed. Like, most of the Imperial troops that you see are like, they're either officers or they're not fully armored stormtroopers. The troopers only come in when it's a major action, like they're putting something down hard, and that's good. I like that. It makes the stormtroopers appear the way I think Lucas originally intended, actually, which is that they're lethal, they're dangerous, and there's no end to them. And that's why they're just so undefeatable. So, if anything, Andor is kind of restoring them to some credibility.
Extremely overrated show.
Tony Gilroy should be running Star Wars. He should be running it out. His vision.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think Gilroy is really much of a Star Wars fan, honestly, and I like his vision for this particular story. To an extent, actually. I see there's a lot of flaws in this, but I would not want him to be in charge of Star Wars. I really would not. I think he's too bleak. He you know what he is? He's too pedantic. He's too ivory tower. He's too typical. He's just too typical of Hollywood creatives who he's got, I would say he's got Rian Johnson energy, except that he's actually a good writer, whereas Rian Johnson is not. Star Fury says they have plot armor for a reason in episode 4. They were meant to escape to allow them to be tracked to Yavin so the Death Star can blow it up. That is a good point. That's actually a really good point, Star Fury. So that's true. Vader had set up a trap. He wanted them to escape so they could be tracked back to Yavin. And you know what's great about that too is Leia knows it. Because when they're on their way back, Leia's like, that was too easy. They're probably tracking us. And so the characters, so actually both sides are very intelligent in episode 4. Good point. Strike, Star Fury, strike true. Star Wars Theory, says Darth Merlin, says that the reason the stormtroopers weren't shooting very well is because the Force was providing protection for Luke and the others. Yeah, that's fine. That's really just headcanon, though. That's headcanon. I feel like you could make that argument, but to be fair, it just doesn't come across that way in the film. Universal saying that low viewership numbers is a lie. Knights of Melvin is wrong about this. The show's not losing money. Fair enough.
And his vision in my butthole.
Tony Gilroy doesn't even like Star Wars, and he's purposely making a show that doesn't resemble Star Wars in any way. But on today's video, we're not going to talk much about that. We are here to talk about the Bail Organa recast.
But honestly, I mean, I haven't been, checking in online very much, but I haven't seen a whole lot of, outrage from this.
This isn't Jimmy Smits. This isn't Jimmy Smits who played Bail Organa. I don't know who this is. And frankly, I don't care who this is. All I know is that hashtag not my Bail Organa.
I am 100% in agreement. So I don't think they were able to get Jimmy Smits for this. Fine, whatever. I really love Jimmy Smits' character and his portrayal in the prequels. I think he brings a lot of humanity. He really shows us the good side of the Republic, and I love that. The thing is, they go and get this guy, and he does not even have even close to the same energy as Bail Organa. He seems very dour, very, he's not at all the same guy. And he doesn't have any of the gravitas. of my favorite moments in the prequels is when Organa lands on the platform at the Jedi Temple when all the clone troopers are like clearing it out, killing all the Jedi, and he's like, "What's going on here?" And they're like, "There's been a rebellion, sir. It's time for you to leave." And he says, "I demand answers," or something like that. And one of the clone troopers says, "With respect, sir, it's time for you to go." And I love Bail Organa's response there, where he just kind of very peacefully, he just says, "And so it is." And he starts walking away. And it just showed that he's a guy that can handle himself. You know what I'm saying? Organa's a guy that can handle himself with a kind of gracefulness, a kind of calm stoicism. That's what I took from that. Just like this calm stoicism that he has there. He knows how to just like handle a situation the right way. It was great. It was just a very simple line. You know, they say George Lucas writes shit dialogue. Well, not always. Not always, because that was a really well-written scene right there. You know? This guy doesn't have that energy at all.
Hashtag not my Bail Organa. This guy thinks he's Bail Organa. Nope. It's not him.
It took a little while, but I did start to see some of the discourse about the recast, and honestly, it feels like people just looking for something to be mad about.
Oh, this is not a recast like Bale and Skull. The guy dies, and then they recast him. This is just a lazy recast where they could not make the scheduling work. They couldn't make the money work. This is not like your typical recast. This is a very sad and pathetic recast.
My wife and I will take the girl. We've always talked of adopting a baby girl. She will be loved with us.
We need an exit plan, and we need to make it now while we still have the time.
We have a plan. That's not the issue.
Then what is it?
I'm not going anywhere.
No. It's not him. This is not Bail Organa.
Yeah, no, that's a great side-by-side right there. Like, it's such different energy. There's a kind of, like, peaceful confidence with the Jimmy Smits portrayal. This guy seems cold. He seems calculating. He seems very aloof, actually. He's very aloof. He kind of has an almost arrogance about him. And it's what you would expect of a politician, honestly. It's very typical politician energy, which is probably why he's written this way. I think that in the prequels, Bail Organa is a very different character. And it's subtle, isn't it? It's subtle how it's in the presentation, it's in the lines, it's in the performance.
This is not Bail Organa. Just not him. Hashtag not my Bail Organa. The performance is totally off, doesn't even look like him.
We need an exit plan, and we need to make it now while we still have the time.
We have a plan.
We have a plan. I'm the new I'm not Jimmy Smits, as you can tell. I'm the new and improved We have a plan. Yeah, excuse me, my nose gets clogged quite a bit. But we have a plan.
Mon Mothma even knows that. Mon Mothma was like, who is this imposter? Who is this imposter in front of me? Hashtag not my Bail Organa. Not my Bail Organa.
And I definitely don't think it's silly for someone to have like a, whoa, what reaction to it? Because that was my reaction.
Mothma.
Senator Organa.
Karen. Bail.
Yay.
I'm free.
What?
Wait.
But I do.
Wow. These fucking shills, man. Watch what they're, it's incredible. I can already see it coming. They accidentally reacted honestly. Did you catch it? They reacted honestly, and they're like, "Oh, what I meant to say was must bow to Disney Star Wars. Must shill for Disney Star Wars." Watch it. Watch them now walk it back. They're such fucking scum. I can't stand it.
They saw that And we're like, what the fuck? And now they're on here apologizing
Yeah.
for it, shilling for it,
Yes.
trying to justify it.
Yeah,
and
no,
it's like,
that's
they
not what I
shouldn't
meant,
have even
Disney.
shown that.
Oh, please, Disney. Oh, please, Disney. Don't take away my gift bag. Don't take away my gift bag and my 5-minute meet and greet with Leslie Headland. Please don't do that, Disney.
Reaction, because now we know they're even more frauds.
They're
So what started
they're
all
so
this
pathetic.
for me was on Twitter, Hannah Solo, who is a part of the Lightspeed podcast, the booming Lightspeed podcast on the 50,000 subscriber channel.
Okay, so, and by the way, his line, I think Melvin's going to cover it here, but like his line in this, she's about to give her speech, right? And fake Bail Organa says, tear the shit out of that place. And I was like, oh my God, this is such AOC energy right here. It's like, oh my God, you go, girl. Fuck off. The word shit should not exist in Star Wars, nor has it ever. So like that's exactly why I say Gilroy's a competent writer. I think this is a good vision for this particular story. It would be a disaster if Tony Gilroy were put in charge of the vision of Lucasfilm and Star Wars. It would be a complete disaster because he clearly doesn't get it. He clearly does not truly get it and does not care. He thinks of himself as an auteur. He's up there in that ivory tower. The fans are the least of his concerns, like the absolute least of his concerns. And Star Wars canon and lore, only tangentially part of his concerns. Star Fury wants to know, have I started season 2 of Solo Leveling? I want your opinion of season 2, episode 2 as a starter for the show. I'll watch it tonight, Star Fury. And we'll do a member stream tomorrow, and we'll do some review recording. And I will give you some thoughts on season 2. How's that? Do we have a deal, Star Fury? Star Fury says, Tony Gilroy thinks his shit doesn't stink. Agree. He holds his nose while casting pearls before the swine of the Star Wars fans. Be grateful, you scrubs. Yes, Star Fury's on the warpath today. Universal says they should have had Bail Organa in these scenes. They should not have had. Gotcha. Darth Merlin says, would have been better if they just deep faked Jimmy Smits. Possibly. I don't know. I almost would rather they just write him out of the show. I mean, Leia's not even referenced in it, so why even bother? But seriously, a terrible, terrible casting for this character. They weren't shilling hard enough. Oh my God. Oh, Podu. Yes, Star Fury. Podu. Like that's what you should hear in Star Wars. Like he should have said, tear the Podu out of this place. It still would have been a lame line, but better. I mean, there's a way to get at it, right? You would never have heard anyone in the original 6 films say something like that.
Yeah, the guy with the fake wife. She's a part of this podcast, and this podcast, let me tell you, it is so popular that they don't even upload on YouTube anymore. They are on Spotify exclusively, so go check it out. She posted a gif of the fake Bail Organa tear the shit out of this place. Tear the shit out of this place. And she said, my new fave Bail Organa quote. Out of all the quotes...
You know, what is it? What is it with these wackos? These Disney Star Wars wackos. It's as if they literally define themselves by liking exactly the things that they know are either outside of canon, are either a complete retcon, or are something that does not belong in Star Wars, or that will piss off. It's like they fixate exactly on those things. You know, it's like these are the types of people that, like, when they heard The Thread, they're like, oh my God, hashtag The Thread. That's such a better name than The Force. Like, that's the kind of shit that they will say. It's like you literally know that that's exactly the thing that's going to piss off the fan base, because that's not Star Wars. And that's what they fixate on. You know why they do it? For the same reason that Rian Johnson had Luke Skywalker throw the lightsaber over his shoulder. The same reason that Craig Mazin killed off Joel and Neil Druckmann killed off Joel in the Last of Us TV series and game, respectively. It's the same reason. It's clout chasing through deconstruction. I'm part of the educated, enlightened auteur class. I am sophisticated. My tastes are cosmopolitan, which means I'm better than you, Walmart Star Wars fans. I'm better than you because I understand it. That's what this is. And that's why we get so much of this garbage. This is why I say, nerd culture, do not believe this modern myth, this absolute lie. I can't tell you how many people I argue with about this. Nerd culture is not cool, and it is not accepted, and it is not popular in modern society. Normies' caricature of what they think nerd culture is what's cool. This is not Star Wars because the word shit does not belong in Star Wars. Star Wars is a galaxy far, far away where that word does not exist. Silly words like Banthapoo do exist. So this is not a Star Wars nerd. This is a normie who has taken the iconography of Star Wars and is literally attaching themselves to exactly every piece of it that's not Star Wars. Because nerd culture has been appropriated and stolen by a bunch of bandwagon normies who got on the bandwagon when it got cool. This is exactly what happened to Game of Thrones, by the way. The first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, nobody in the world knew it existed except nerds. Nerds with neckbeards and lots of plastic piles of shame, a.k.a. plastic model miniatures like Warhammer and HeroClix and card collections like Magic the Gathering. Those are the people who were watching Game of Thrones on HBO in the first 2 seasons. And a hell of a lot of Song of Ice and Fire book nerds. It wasn't until it started gaining popularity and the normies started coming in, that's when it became popular. And now, oh my goodness, I love fantasy. Lord of the Rings, what's that? You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you're a normie, you're not a nerd, get out.
Could have had for Bail Organa. She chose this quote from the fake Bail Organa. My new fave Bail Organa quote. Tear the shit out of this place. Nope. Unacceptable. Hashtag not my Bail Organa. Not my Bail Organa.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad that they have come out and said it was a scheduling issue. I figured that was the case.
That is so sad. Scheduling issue my ass. If this show was fucking important, if this was real Star Wars, this was George Lucas, you better believe his ass would be in that role.
He's not wrong.
So I replied to Hannah with the picture of the real Bail Organa. Hashtag not my Bail Organa.
Yes.
And then tweeted this out. Disgusting shills already trying to rewrite history. Hashtag not my Bail Organa. This is what the shills do. We have an established timeline with George Lucas in the first 6 movies and expanded universe. These shills take anything that Disney makes and then they rewrite history. Oh, look, Bail Organa, he actually said this. Tear the shit out of this place. Oh, it's so good. And then they have the nerve to say that it's actually better than George Lucas' Star Wars. This is her favorite Bail Organa quote, and it's not even the real Bail Organa.
You know the saddest tragedy of this? The saddest tragedy of this is that what is this idiot even rooting for? This is not making Star Wars. You know, in a way, that's kind of what this is getting at. Let's make Star Wars relevant. Let's make Star Wars relatable. Let's make Star Wars cool by putting real life profanity in it. Why would you do that? Because you think Star Wars is silly. That's why you would do that. Because you think it has more gravity if it's like this. But all you're really doing is you're taking the fantastic and wondrous galaxy far, far away, this larger than life world of adventure, and you're shrinking it down and you're making it common. You're making it like everything else. This is what they did to Star Trek, by the way. This is exactly what they did to Star Trek. They started putting the F word in Star Trek Picard. And it's like, all you've done is taken the lofty, otherworldly, utopian qualities of the Star Trek canon, and you've brought it down to our level, and you've made it common. You've made it like every other stupid garden variety melodrama on TV. Because it's a small-minded instinct. It's exactly what Rian Johnson did with The Last Jedi. It's like you're taking something beautiful, brilliant, that's meant to be larger than life. It's meant to be a little silly, and you're making it common. So I do have sympathies with people who say, the classic, brick buildings don't belong in Star Wars argument. Like I sort of get that. Because I hear what you're saying. What you're saying is you shouldn't be making Star Wars too real, because that makes it that actually takes the unique quality that it has away from it. Now, who would do such a thing? Well, I'll tell you who would do such a thing. Normies LARPing as nerds who have stolen the things nerds built, stuffed the nerds in the locker, and are now telling us that we're toxic. And the circle of destruction is complete. Starfury says, my flamethrower trigger finger is beginning to twitch. Point me at some fucking shills. You know what, Starfury? We're going to do that for you. I think we're going to leave it there because we have more to get to. So, hat tip, Knights of Melvin. I fairly agree with him here. I just don't know how much longer I can hang on to just talking about one character and one scene. Now, let me grab this one. I'm just curious. I don't know if I'll watch the whole video. I have not seen this video. I just want someone else's perspective, a review on this. Star Fury says, but Captain, we are toxic. Well, toxic, but there's a method to our toxicity. As I said, it was the activists who began this conflict, and they will forgive us if we finish it. Mithrandir.
Man, those are some dark episodes of TV. We're talking Andor
so
season 2.
Hat tip. Who are Eckert's Ladder? Okay, Eckert's Ladder. Let's just see. I just want to check in. I have no idea what his opinion of this is.
Episodes 7, 8, and 9 on today's video. Full spoilers, of course. I don't really know how I'm going to do this. Like, Andor is not a show for YouTubers to talk about. Yeah, I could mention that K2SO.
It's not. Mr. Producer, is that true? What do you mean a terrible idea? You never said to remove it from the stack of stuff. I would not have bit your head off. I'm very circumspect. Put a pin in this for later.
His backstory previously established in a comic was retconned, or that Melshi was back. Hey, he's in Rogue One, but really, who cares? You know, like many of you guys, I've got cell phone brain, so often when I'm watching a show or hockey, whatever, I'm distracted and doing something else. Not with Andor. These 3 episodes, especially the first 2, kept me locked in. The 8th episode of the season, featuring the Gorman Massacre in particular, was dreadful. It was terrible, but in a good way. Obviously,
I have to say, I 100% agree. It was dreadful in a good way. And as I said, the stormtroopers in this scene are terrifying and lethal, which is what they should be.
we've known it was coming, but it was very different to see it actually spiral, to see the point where there was no turning back, where all the things fell into place for the Empire, and Gorman and its people were about to be ground into dust. One of my favorite aspects of this episode was seeing how a thing sort of thought about in the abstract would actually play out. Both Luthen and the Rebellion and the ISB have had their idea of what would and should happen on Gorman. Hell, Dedra is the one who really helped develop the plan. But when it comes time to, as the Imperial says, pull the trigger, when all the people in the courtyard are standing up and looking at you, well, things get more difficult. And really, in this show, there are degrees of evil, and I think that's one of the points. Dedra is evil. She's a self-serving authoritarian, but she's still got a shred of humanity in her, a shred of humanity, reminding her that what she is doing is so far beyond wrong. And I love the look in her eyes as things are starting to go down. Even further down the spectrum, you've got Partagas or Krennic, people who will do the massacre or far worse without batting an eye, or you have, in my opinion, one of the most purely evil characters we've seen, the Imperial Fixer. There's something about this guy. You know, it's one thing to see Krennic or Tarkin.
Oh, yes. This character is really good. So they need a guy, the Empire needs a guy who has to set up that they're literally staging the massacre. They're creating the conditions for a protest, and they are going to deliberately tip the protest into violence and then crush it. This is it's a false flag operation, the whole thing. And they need a guy to execute this knowing what it's going to result in. And what I love about this character is he's just purely mercenary about it. He's not particularly cold-blooded, nor he's cold-blooded in the sense that he will do whatever's required. He's just going to do his job. But what's also interesting is he's not ideological about it at all. He has no dog in the hunt. He's just an enforcer, right? So there's a great scene where Dedra asks him a question. I forget how she phrased it, but it's something like, because they're setting things up, and she says something along the lines of like, isn't there somewhere you want to be? Isn't there somewhere you should want to be right now, or something like that? Meaning, like, isn't there some area you need to be overseeing? And he replies, yes, I want to be on a transport home. However, I am here to do this job. You are running this. You tell me what to do. I am your weapon. Let's keep it at that. Like, so he's basically saying, like, she was trying to give him like a kind of level of agency of like, this is your mission. How do you want to run this? And his answer is, I don't want to run this. I'd rather be at home. I'm not here to run this. That's your job. You run this. I'm your weapon. You tell me where the weapon is needed. Now that's fucking great. That is great writing. That's just really excellent. Now, I'm not saying that this is what all Star Wars should be. I'm not saying that Star Wars is back or it's saved. I'm just evaluating this based on the show itself, okay? And here's the thing that's striking about this. Like, this is what actual totalitarianism looks like. And I will say Tony Gilroy is writing these characters with a complexity and depth that a woke wacko cannot do, because they would have to portray everyone that is fascist as pure blood-curdling evil all the time, and anyone that's resistant would have to be stunning and brave and perfect all the time. And that's what's great about this show, is there's a level of humanity in all of the bad guys, and there's also a level of monster in a lot of the good guys, because the good guys have to do bad things to win. And I'm not saying that the show is morally nihilistic or relativistic. It's not. There is a clear line between good and evil in the show. But humans are humans, and humans gonna human. You know what I'm saying?
Everyone else order these terrible things, and then they happen. But this guy, he sets up everything. He starts stirring the pot by putting the barricades up. He creates an accelerating factor by sending those green troopers out, and then he orders the sort of false flag, and he does not seem bothered by this at all. He's a bad dude, to put it lightly. But maybe the most interesting character examined on this spectrum was Cyril Karn. I've got so many thoughts about this character. He's so well written and so interesting. And I was really wondering what his deal would be going into this week. I wish I had done a video about it now in hindsight, because we have to look at Cyril's motivating factors. Someone like Krennic, for example, wants power for power's sake. Dedra, probably pretty similar, but Cyril has always been motivated by law and order. What sort of law and order is there in fermenting a rebellion, essentially forcing people into action and then killing them mercilessly? I was really unsure exactly how much he knew, but in this episode we got confirmation. Cyril was not fully aware of the plan. He was creating a honeypot for the rebellion, or so he thought, but when he realizes the truth...
Crowbar the Skull is in the chat, says, "Hail, Captain, hail, fellow crewmates at work right now. We'll try to be back later. Hail, Crowbar. Ahoy."
Truly
we'll be here.
Objectively horrible shit he's been a part of, he starts to fall apart. You know, the Empire...
Yeah, Cyril's... I quite liked that. Like, Cyril really did sort of believe the Imperial line of, like, law and order in a safe, secure galaxy, and he was trying to fulfill that as essentially a cop that was doing well. But then he learned, like, I'm basically part of an SS squad, essentially. And when he finally realizes that the Empire's doing really evil things, and pretending it's for law and order, that's when he kind of loses it. And it's really great.
Has been for him this guiding light, this symbol of order. Yes, sometimes they're harsh, but generally he believed the Empire was the best path towards stability in the galaxy, and that was all thrown into doubt. But even with that in his face, he still has that beef with Cassian, which I guess is fair. I mean, that goes beyond Cassian's rebel duties and goes back to his initial attack on the people at Morlana. So yeah, just a phenomenally interesting character. He does have redeeming qualities. It's not all black and white, just like Luthen and Saw and even Mon Mothma are not just good. Or like how Cyril's mother, yeah, she's terrible, but at the end, she's humanized as we see her mourn the loss of her son. The actual massacre itself was incredibly visceral. It was emotional. It's really insane what Star Wars managed to do without blood or any real gore. The KX droids coming out was also just awful stuff. I think this has to be my favorite episode of the series so far. I really like the Gorman people. I like how their chants turned from English anti-imperial rhetoric to obviously a chant of their native language. I thought that was really powerful. And yeah, throughout the entire time, just a mounting sense of dread. At first I thought Cyril was going to try to hijack one of the TV cameras and reveal the secrets. I'm so glad he didn't do that. You know, Andor does a pretty good job of keeping, you know, a sense of groundedness to the universe. At the end of it all, Cyril was just a small man wrapped up in things who, like a lot of people, was used and spit out. And that's, I think, why it's so appropriate at the end of it all. The last thing Cassian says to him is, "Who are you?" The show also did a great job of reminding us just how damn terrifying TIE fighters can be. There were lots of other great details. I like how the bellhop remembered him, but I do briefly want to talk about the other two episodes as well. I really liked the Force healing lady. I don't know what it was about her, but I just felt like she captured the spirit of Star Wars in a really cool way. There was just something...
I really agree with that. So they had this character who she's on Yavin with the Rebel base, and she's actually just an average person, but she clearly has some ability with the Force. She's not a Jedi. She's not been trained. She's essentially like a clairvoyant, but in her case, it's because she channels the Force, and she uses the Force to try and help heal people's wounds, and Andor goes to see her because he has a blaster wound that's not healing. And she kind of just, she can't like tell him exact things, but she can kind of roughly see his future. And I thought it was a really nice touch because it brought back the kind of original trilogy vibe of the Force belongs to everyone. The Force is present in everyone. Technically anyone could at some point use the Force, and it's a spiritual energy. It's not about midichlorian counts. It's a spiritual energy. And so I quite liked this scene, and I felt it wasn't overbearing at all. It was sort of like a priest in the Star Wars world, basically. Not really. She's not a priest. She's just a person who's trying to help people. It was pretty good.
Thing new about her in a way that reminded me of every time back when watching the original trilogy, you'd learn something new about the Force. I just thought she was very well handled. Cassian and Bix's relationship, pretty heartbreaking end. I don't know if Bix will be in the show anymore. Obviously, we don't know anything at all really about the final arc. I don't know if we've seen any footage at all from it. Obviously, we're getting a lot more of the rebellion. We saw Draven, who of course is in Rogue One. We saw the Yavin base being set up, which I loved. Everywhere Cassian goes, shows. He gets such a sick pad. Then, of course, episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion. We see Mon Mothma give her speech to the Senate.
Yes, and this scene where Andor's extracting her from the Senate is excellent.
Like this. I thought the Gorman Massacre episode was better. I thought Mon Mothma's escape was maybe a little too easy, given that they knew where she was going to be. They could have sent troops up there, but not really a big deal. The intrigue and the different spies and rebel factions was a very nice touch. Obviously, we got the tie into Star Wars Rebels, where Cassian is doing the extraction, but it's going to be Gold Squadron and the Ghost Crew who bring her into Yavin. We're seeing more and more that Luthen has not embraced sort of the main rebel group. Not that there's like a dislike. It seems like Cassian and Mon and others want him to go to Yavin. I just don't think his psyche allows him to. The same way Saw's psyche wouldn't allow him to. So it's gotta be the greater rebellion who gets the credit for Mon Mothma, because she's a symbol. She's going to be a symbol galaxy-wide. It is a little funny how her speech is all about taking truth back, and already the rebels are sort of propagandizing her escape. But yeah, an excellent few episodes. This show is so good. I really do think this show could have been, instead of 2 seasons, maybe 3. I understand, that may not have been possible from a budget perspective. They may never have gotten it done, so I'm very...
Okay, fair enough. I'll put a like on that video. Hat tip to Eckert's Ladder. That was a pretty good analysis of the show. So yeah, there you go. I like it, mostly. First 3 episodes were a snore.
Star Wars is saved.
No, it's not. Okay, next in the stack of stuff, we got to talk about the final movie star, Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise was on the red carpet, and the typical media, legacy media shill questions were coming out. What do you think of the Orange Man's tariff? Do you hate MAGA people? The typical, is this the gayest Mission Impossible ever? So they've got all their stupid, inane questions ready. And it turns out, this is very strange. This is a very odd thing. Tom Cruise is an actor. And incidentally, a producer. But the weird thing is, he's an actor that seems to care about acting in movies. He's a producer who seems to view it as his principal role to create entertaining movies. And when he's talking about his movie, he seems to think that the thing he should be talking about is not tariffs or modern politics, but the movie and the fans. It's bizarre, quite frankly, and I'm not used to it because Tom Cruise is a professional. So we are going to get into that in just a moment, but your captain must take a short break, so I will be right back. bring it on back to me. And we are back here on the Captain's Cast. If you're enjoying this stream, please like and subscribe. Consider it. Make sure you turn on the notification bell. The notification bell is very important because it notifies you when the Captain is live. And member streams. We have, in fact, speaking of member streams, can I gift some memberships? Let's see here. Yes, no. I could give myself a super chat. I think I'm out of memberships to gift. If any, Wrangler is in the chat. Ahoy, Wrangler! Welcome aboard. Do you have a membership, Wrangler? Why is it allowing me to give? I don't see an option to give us a membership. Super stickers. I don't want to send a super sticker. A super chat. Huh. It was there last week. I'll have to look into it, Mr. Producer. Maybe there's like a limit. I'm new to memberships. I've just launched. Well, anyway, if you join as a member of the Swords and Starships channel, you gain access to the Captain's Ready Room, where I record live with you reviews of upcoming shows. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to watch. I am a giant fan of the Mission Impossible film series. Because the first film kind of sucked. I feel like the first film pretty much sucked. And Star Fury, also not a fan, because they did dirty the original Mission Impossible agent. And I respect that. That's fair enough. But every Mission Impossible from 2 onwards, and yes, I love the John Woo Mission Impossible 2. I'm a giant fan of that. Very campy, very awesome film with Doug Ray Scott as a really excellent evil villain. That's great. I love it. Where was I, Mr. Producer? Oh, yes. And the thing I admire is how each of these movies tries to one-up each other. Now, Mission Impossible Fallout is, in my view, the greatest action film of all time. It just is. It's probably my favorite action film ever. I absolutely love it. And Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Folie à Deux. No, I'm just kidding. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning was not quite, it just wasn't as good as Fallout. I'm kind of hoping that this next one, The Final Reckoning, is going to be just excellent. But we'll see. So let's react to the trailer, shall we? Mr. Producer, share screen. I don't know if I've seen this trailer, but here we go.
This can't all be true.
Every word. CIA Black Vault break-in.
Am I reading this correctly? The Kremlin bombing?
In fairness, the bomb was actually meant to kill him.
He gassed a security briefing.
That was just 2 months ago.
This explains the handcuffs. It's still...
I get the feeling that this is meant to be Ethan Hunt's swan song. You know, like the John Wick series, I just admire the hell out of the work ethic of these films. And the director, is it McHugh? I think I heard him. What is he? Director, Mission Impossible. He's basically the same guy that's been directing the last few, and he's done such a great job. Who's the director? Christopher McQuarrie. Yeah, he goes by McHugh sometimes. Fantastic. So I get the feeling that this is meant to be kind of the final swan song for Ethan Hunt's character. Whether or not this continues after that point is another matter. Roll tape.
Still not clear why he's here.
If we want to bring the world back from the brink, we have to deal with him.
Should he choose to accept?
Smart people on every side are close to panicking.
What exactly is your plan? Your team has been betrayed, Ethan.
Nerdrotic had such a great tweet about this, which is that Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning will feature Tom Cruise running for 3 hours. And that's basically, why is he always running? Why is he always running all the time?
All your secrets compromised.
Everything you are, everything you've done, has come to this.
You gave him an aircraft carrier? Our lives are the
There he
sum
is.
of
He's running. He's running.
our choices. This is your calling, your destiny. I have no regrets. Neither should you.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Well, there you have it. That's the new Mission Impossible coming out. I will be at the theater. Just super excited. Now, I don't know. Is it going to live up to the rest of the series? That remains to be seen. It's a pretty good trailer. You know what's interesting about these Mission Impossible films? They tend to be better than the trailer. That's what I've noticed. I've noticed that, like, I watch trailers sometimes and the trailer's just so good. I kind of think the Dune Part 2 trailer was even a little better than the movie, right? Because that Dune Part 2 trailer is, with Hans Zimmer's score, is unbelievably good. It's one of my favorite trailers ever. The movie, excellent, didn't quite live up to the trailer. What I find with Mission Impossible is the trailers tend to undersell the actual movie. Because Mission Impossible Fallout, the trailers are fine. They're kind of generic. They're kind of generic Mission Impossible trailers. Then I go and see Fallout, and from the first minute of that movie, I'm like, holy shit, this one came to play. Wow. And it was just great. So I'm hoping that's the case here. I'm hoping this trailer really undersold it, because, you know, you have your cool martial arts scenes, you have your death-defying stunts, you have Tom Cruise running, and then running some more. But am I seeing anything, like, story-wise that's, like, just pulling me in and, like, I gotta know what's gonna happen? Not really. There's a lot of nostalgia bait in that trailer, I have to say. A lot of it's like, remember when he did this, and remember when he did that? And it's like, yeah, I remember those things. Say, what's gonna happen in this movie? Is that too much to ask about? If you have time in your busy schedule. Now, what's notable about this film is I'm sure that Tom Cruise has lots of wackadoodle thoughts about things. He doesn't seem interested in sharing them when he's promoting a film. All right, Mr. Producer, share screen. So, hat tip, geeks and gamers.
Tom Cruise does what Hollywood don't, and Hollywood can't, and that's not get political. Even when the garbage mainstream media is trying to ask you loaded questions, Tom Cruise proves why he is known as the last true great movie star. Tom Cruise sidesteps talk about Trump's Hollywood tariff at Mission Impossible press stop. Quote, "We'd rather answer questions about the movie." Could you imagine if the majority of movie stars and Hollywood idiots answered questions like this?
It would be a completely different story for the movie industry right now. I mean, I cannot think of a single thing, a single solitary example that more brilliantly illustrates the problem with mainstream Hollywood. They seem to think that their responsibility, as if they have any, they seem to think that their job is to educate the masses, the peasants, about correct political theory. They seem to think the purpose of their films is to save lives. No, you idiots. Your point is to create escapism to entertain us, your customers, the audience. The fascinating thing about this is that should also be the thing you're there for. Like, isn't that what you want to do? It's incredible to me how much of the film industry is filled with people that aren't interested in making escapist entertainment. It's amazing how much the gaming industry isn't filled with developers who want to create fun and engaging games. The journalism industry is filled with people that aren't curious and don't want answers to things. They just want to repeat the narrative. If every Hollywood personality had this attitude, Hollywood would still be relevant, successful, and booming. It's incredible because Tom Cruise is the exception that proves the rule. Hollywood is filled with morons who aren't there to entertain people. They're there for their own selfish designs, which would be fine if their own selfish designs were also aligned with entertaining people.
Because the mainstream is going to try to ask you loaded questions because their job is to try to get sound bites. I don't necessarily blame them for that, although they are horrible people. But these stupid actors just continue to walk right into it because they're so self-centered and they're so focused on thinking that their opinion on politics matters when in reality it doesn't matter, and all it does is hurts the project in which you're involved in. Tom Cruise giving a master class on how to avoid that, which again, this isn't complicated, and it shows you how low the standard is in Hollywood that we have to celebrate this, but this is how bad things have gotten to where we have to celebrate the last great movie star simply not falling for an obvious bait question. This is how bad Hollywood is. Thank goodness for Tom Cruise. And look, these are the things that Tom Cruise is out there doing to promote his upcoming movie, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Dude, the guy is out of his freaking mind in exactly the right way. Like, this is the kind of insanity we should be seeing in Hollywood, which is he's literally risking his life. He's a thrill seeker. Let's just face it. The guy is a thrill seeker. I think he truly enjoys the adrenaline. You know, it's like the classic Winston Churchill quote, "The most exhilarating thing in life is to be shot at without result." That is Tom Cruise to a T. He's out there to get shot at without result. That's what he's after. And he might die. Like, he might get killed on the set of one of his movies at some point. One almost wonders if he'd almost prefer that to dying of old age. I think he probably would, quite frankly. But my point is that, like, the sheer work ethic of this man, because, you know, all of this could be done with CGI. All of this could be done to just now, Wrangler, that you are too generous, sir. Wrangler with 5 gifted memberships to the chat. Thank you, Wrangler. Captain, salute. Your generosity does you much credit, sir. So make sure you hit those 3 dots in the chat and allow, or no, I think you click on, I forget you have to like click on the little $ in the chat, and you have to enable receipt of gifts if you want to get a gifted membership. So thank you, Wrangler. But yeah, so what's brilliant about this is Tom Cruise is putting in work to create real, death-defying, high-wire stunts that you cannot see unless you go to the movie. In other words, what is the whole purpose of making films? The entire purpose of making films is to show you something you could not see otherwise. He is still committed to that art form, and I respect the hell out of it.
The man is a true...
Dude, he's advertising his movie by just showing a clip of, like, look at this time I almost died. Look at this time I almost crashed a plane to make this movie.
True mad lad and a true legend in every way possible. Here he is telling Texas they'll see you on May 22nd.
Hi, everyone. On May 22nd, I'm coming to the great state of Texas. And I'll be visiting Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio before stopping by some theaters to see you at some of the first screenings of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Holy shit. Well, I guess I bet that's my neighborhood right now, so I guess I better book a ticket.
Then we're going to fly to Dallas, where I'm going to get some delicious barbecue before going to more theaters to say hello. And I can't wait. We'll see you at the movies.
This guy is awesome in every way. Adrian...
The incredible thing about it is the love and appreciation he's showing to the audience. It's only notable because of how ridiculously rare it is and how rare it should not be. He is putting to shame the entire industry. It's crazy. He's literally, it's as if he's on a mission to just demonstrate and model the professionalism that Hollywood should have. What a bunch of freaking clowns are in this industry. You think of the Leslie Headlands and the Kathleen Kennedys and the Dave Filonis and the Rian Johnsons, the losers, the absolute clout-chasing corporate goons, the incompetent boobs, the fools, the truly stupid writers like Jeff Loveness, idiots, Kevin Feige, dumb corporate climbers, spouting all kinds of nonsense on the red carpet. All these idiotic actors out there, just like, this is going to save lives and all this bullshit. And here's this guy. And he's doing the one thing that matters in this industry, which is appreciating the audience. And by the way, being grateful to the audience. He's not out there saying, this movie's not made for you. He's out there saying, I'm working for you. You know what's crazy, too, is the last film was a flop. The last Mission Impossible film did not do well in theaters. And what's his response to it? This is the difference between a professional and an amateur. This is the difference between someone with a work ethic who's devoted to his craft and a wannabe hack. After a failure, the man is out there working even harder. It's damn impressive. It's damn impressive.
Curry, and this is last month. And she says Disney should hire Tom Cruise to teach its stars to never get political, devote themselves to giving fans what they want, assistance, handling their social media, and zero activism.
Zero activism. Oh, dude, he is like the anti-Rachel Zegler. He's literally the exact reverse opposite of Rachel Zegler. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if a film Well, I mean, he's the wrong demographic, but just humor me on this. His film, Dead Reckoning, fails. Or at least it underperforms. We'll just say that. It underperforms. Does he go out there and blame the audience and say, well, fandom has become toxic. Oh, well, COVID, all the coof, it ruined theaters. Well, fans are just bigoted and racist and they just can't handle or fans just can't handle a film. They're too busy on TikTok. No excuses, no complaints, no victim narrative. He just gets up the next day and works harder on the next one. A spoiled, arrogant, entitled brat like Rachel Zegler, or a truly stupid woman like Leslie Headland, or an absolute boob like Kevin Feige is not capable of this. They're not capable of this at all. It's really incredible. I marvel at it.
Side classes available for production writers. And of course, here's Tom Cruise doing the exact thing that she claims that he was already doing, which he was doing. We've seen Tom Cruise do this for a long time. And look, Tom Cruise is not without his, controversies over the years, although I do believe that a lot of that was media driven because he himself,
This is a great point too. I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking back to all the jokes about Tom Cruise and his Scientology, and Katie Holmes was his prisoner, and just Family Guy made the joke about Katie Holmes as a prisoner of Tom Cruise, and all of it. You've got Talladega Nights and Will Ferrell. Tom Cruise, use your magical powers on me, and all those memes, right? And I was just thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, I mean, is the guy a wacko? But he just is a really good professional, which would make sense. And I just I have a feeling that the way the media has gone after this guy, I think Tom Cruise has a real appreciation for the fact that his audience is who he's loyal to. Because he's been through it with the media. The media has been after this guy for kind of inexplicable reasons for a long time. Yes, he's a Scientologist and that's super weird, but there's lots of Scientologists out there. Why do they come after this guy the way they do? Isn't it, I didn't used to think about things this way, but now I look back on it and I'm like, yeah, they really had a bug up their ass about Tom Cruise, and he's been through it. And he may also be a wacko. I'm not ruling that out, but he's a professional. Whether he is or is not totally out of his mind is irrelevant. He's a professional. Still, I can't help but think he's got some insight.
Recall Tom Cruise ever really being super public about, whatever the Scientology and all that crap. He was acting a little weird with the whole Katie Holmes thing, but he's one of the most famous people in the world. But Tom Cruise has always been the standard for what a movie star should be. And even this far into his career, he still is the gold standard, and nobody's even close. There's no one that's on the radar right now that can take up the mantle that this guy is going to be leaving behind if and when, he does retire. Hopefully we're still a long ways away from that. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is, coming to theaters very soon. The last one, I very much enjoyed the last one. It didn't do as well at the box office as it was anticipated, especially coming off of Top Gun Maverick, which was a $1.5 billion movie, and Top Gun Maverick was just an absolute joy to watch.
Oh, yes, it was. Top Gun Maverick, brilliant film. Absolutely loved it. It's better than the first one for me. It's better than the first one. And Redoubt Productions is in the chat. Ahoy, Redoubt says, returning home from filming more videos and listening. I'm sure I'll be talking in the chat too long. He said hello, Chad. I think he meant hello, chat. Or he was saying your dear captain is a Chad. And that's not accurate. So that cannot be accurate. It's chat. It's chat. It's chat, right, Mr. Producer? Well, you don't have to say it that way. Jeez. Anyway, so yes, we'll see you in the chat, Redoubt Productions.
And it was such a great surprise. and it tapped into something that Hollywood doesn't seem to want to acknowledge, which is, Americans love America, and they love patriotic.
Isn't it incredible? I was watching this, that Bill Maher, who is a wacko. He's an absolute wacko, and he's a hypocrite. However, it's a lot of fun watching him torch the other wackos, circular firing squad style. And we are the chat of chats, says Wrangler. You are, my dear chat. Salute to you. You are the chat of chats. Now, Maher was saying that Democrats need to take back the flag. Good luck with that. Need to take back the flag as their symbol, the American flag. And he was pointing out how, this is not a symbol of freedom. And he was pointing to, a Hamas flag. And he said, this is a symbol of freedom on it. And it was the American flag. And his audience cheered. They clapped and everything. And my point is, he's pointing out, how could we allow the symbol of our country to be taken away from our political party, right? And it just makes me think of... Let me roll this back for a second.
Knowledge, which is, Americans love America.
Yeah, exactly. Jeremy's point. Americans love America. And it's Hollywood has completely lost all perspective on that. Americans love America. That has never changed. We love our flag and we love our ideals of liberty. Liberty. And Hollywood hates those things. They think it's quaint. They think it's naive. They think it's jingoistic. They're too smart for that kind of thing. They're too evolved. They're too cosmopolitan. Tom Cruise understands his audience. We love our country. And it's fine to make a show with complexity and nuance and you can critique American culture and things like that. But the minute that you insult us, your audience, well, we're just going to have to inflict defeat upon your project. And we will.
And they love patriotic films and patriotic messages. They also like when you respect a source material or you respected the...
It's not CGI, Universal. You're literally... It's because the image is paused on a motion shot, so it's out of focus. But that's not CGI. He's literally on the plane. This is a real stunt.
Story that came before it. And in almost every way, Top Gun Maverick did that. Like I said, the previous Mission Impossible film, for whatever reason, now I think there was a ton of competition. I don't think that they really understood just how much competition was out there. You had Oppenheimer, you had Barbie, you had some, I think The Sound of Freedom, I think really affected.
Oh, yes. No, I think The Sound of Freedom absolutely killed the opening weekend of this movie. Because the audience that would be Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, the audience that Dead Reckoning needed was the exact audience that deliberately moved their that they cleared their schedules so that they could support Sound of Freedom, specifically because Hollywood hated that movie and wanted with all of their being to torpedo that movie. The media had the long knives were out, and it was once again yet another screw you from the leftist wackos and the elite of our society that tried to kill that movie, Sound of Freedom, about stopping child slavery. They tried to character assassinate Tim Ballard. They tried to character assassinate Jim Caviezel. Disney tried to bury that film. And it was that exact Orwellian effort that provoked the entire audience into deliberately supporting that film with every fiber of their being. And unfortunately, the collateral damage was Dead Reckoning basically got its opening weekend totally killed. it was a necessary loss.
The Mission Impossible movie, more than anything, Sound of Freedom was a massive hit that no one saw coming. But I'm hoping that The Final Reckoning here does very well. I'll be watching it opening night, and I'll give my opinions on it. And
that's it. Hat tip, Geeks and Gamers, The Commander, D-Day Cobra. I'll tell you something. You give us, that would be the audience, you give us any opportunity to show Hollywood the middle finger, and we're going to give them both middle fingers. That's the flat out truth. And they're so dumb. They are so stupid. They literally offer up these opportunities on a silver platter. They say, well, Sound of Freedom is for white dads with brain worms, which is basically saying you should not go see it if you're not that. And it's like, really? Let me go get my whole family to see it, because clearly this is a way I could say, fuck you, Hollywood. It's incredible, isn't it? We never, Snow White is a great example of this. Snow White was an excellent opportunity to just tell Hollywood to go to hell. How many times must we go through this exercise? They don't seem to understand what the source of the success, to the extent there is any in their industry. They don't seem to understand the source of it. We, the audience, we, the moviegoer, we, the paying customer, on activism and propaganda storytelling, fake journalism, corporate and Hollywood elitism, we will inflict defeat after defeat after defeat until the lesson is learned. And so the beatings will continue. Starfury says, I don't think Mission will make the money back even with the cost apportionment over the last two movies. Perhaps. I'm rooting for it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just the Dead Reckoning did not do well at all, and so that's troubling. Look, it's I hope I hope it's able to pull it out, because the fact of the matter is, it's Mission Impossible is working for the audience. It's working for the audience. And I just hope that people, I hope it's a good movie, and I hope people support it. It's just that simple. What's next in the stack of stuff, Mr. I think Starfury has an itchy flamethrower trigger finger. By the way, I was just going to show you real quickly. This is Tom Cruise's Twitter feed. You got to see this, okay? This is the Tom Cruise. Now, here's what you're not going to see in this. You are not going to see a bunch of pronouns in bio, Ukraine flags, a bunch of free Palestine bullshit. None of that. This is what you see in Tom Cruise's X feed. It says actor, producer, he, him. No, there's no he, him. Just actor, producer, running in movies. He's memeing on himself. That's so great. I didn't catch that. He's memeing on himself. That's so funny. He says actor, producer, running in movies since 1981. Oh, Mr. Producer, is that good? I didn't even see that. So he's aware of the issue. He's aware that there's way too much of him running. It's like J.J. Abrams and lens flares, It's just Tom Cruise running. But yeah, so these are his posts on his X feed. We made this film to share it with you, the audience. Thank you, Seoul, for allowing us to entertain you. This is from him showing up in Seoul, South Korea. Quote, I am so grateful to be back in the beautiful city of Seoul to share this film. To the fans, we thank you for your support and energy. It is my honor and privilege to entertain you. That's how it's done, folks. Like, that is the professional mindset. That is the professional at work. Yeah, that we saw in that video, Texas, we can't wait to see you. Tokyo, incredible city. This film is a true culmination of this franchise, and the love shown by audiences tonight was felt by all. Like, he is out there putting in work. Just putting in work. Everything on his X feed is about his craft. From Legend to 1985 to Mission Impossible, or from Legend in 1985 to Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, I have been studying and filming underwater sequences for over 40 years. We have always tried to push our filmmaking to the next level. In this movie, McHugh and I saw an opportunity to create an underwater sequence unlike any other, and we are excited to share it with you. Wow. Just awesome. This is the professional at work right there. So anyway, so that's Tom Cruise, the final movie star. Now on to The Last of Us. So The Last of Us, as you know, is it is a show about gay love stories in the apocalypse, and it is about a very unfortunate-looking lead actress, very unfortunate-looking woman who is supposed to be the best thing ever. Hat tip, geeks and gamers.
So we're all having a baby.
This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. These left-wing wackos. It's not enough that she's a gay character. She can't just be a gay character. She has to literally appropriate and steal the identity of fatherhood and appropriate it for herself. These are the anti-appropriation people. These are the people that say you cannot appropriate someone else's lived experience. But notice how they want to appropriate fatherhood. This line is so unnecessarily stupid. So unnecessarily stupid. But sorry, if you don't know, in this scene, she finds out that her girlfriend that she's just hooked up with is pregnant from the man that she was dating back in their communist village. And Ellie just decides that this baby now belongs to the three of them. And I'm thinking, this is so sick. It's so fucking sick. Because he's the father of this child, right? And it's like, she is nothing to this child. She is a third party. He is the father. This girl is the mother. Ellie has no part of this. But she appropriates that this is going to be my child, our child, and I'm going to be, well, this is what she decides she's going to be.
I'm going to be a dad.
What?
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
Just a few days ago, I made a video talking about The Last of Us Part 2 and the damage control out there. And of course, the mainstream is at it again, trying to blame the fans for a bad television show. Just like they blame the fans for bad video games, they blame the fans for bad movies. It can't be the people involved with the creative process. No. It has to be the fans' fault. So here's GameSpot. Last of Us Season 2 is now being review bombed because of course it is. I love the replies here. Kata, oh no, a bad show is being called bad. The next person, oh no, turns out people know a girl can't be a dad. What an absolute shock. And
just quite aside from everything else, just putting aside all other concerns, it's such a fucking stupid line. I'm going to be a dad. It's just stupid. It just shows the ridiculous left-wing obsession with creepy, bizarre, like gender studies nonsense, wacko nonsense. They cannot help but start to deconstruct literally everything. They hate reality. They hate the fabric of reality, and they want to rewrite it. They have a kind of twisted God complex. It adds nothing to the story. It has no purpose whatsoever. It is purely their bizarre, sick worldview having to infect everything that they touch. They can't just tell a story. No, they have to say a weird, creepy line that literally makes no sense. They established in the same run of the same season, they've already established that Ellie and this other character, what's her name? I don't know. Who cares? They've already established that they don't even know what a pride flag is. They don't know what the rainbows are. They don't know about any of that. So in other words, they've been raised in a post-apocalyptic world where all of this nonsense no longer exists, or at least they don't know about it. They're completely outside of that cultural zeitgeist. And yet somehow they do know that a girl can be a dad somehow. How does Ellie know that? It makes no sense. Well, she doesn't know that. It's just the lunatic writers inserting that. Because they're wackos. And they have a sick worldview. And it's losing.
To this scene right here with Ellie saying, so we're having a baby. Us and Jesse too, we're having a baby. I'm going to be a dad.
Star Fury says, a face only Joseph Merrick the Elephant Man could love. I didn't say that. I did not say that. I did not say that Bella Ramsey looks like a pig. I did not say that. I did, and I would not say that because that would be rude.
Pure comedy, pure mental illness, and pure comedy. The Last of Us Season 2 is now being review bombed because of course it is. The latest episode is taking the biggest hit from user reviews. And then it talks about The Last of Us becoming a pop culture phenomenon and how many people that are watching the series never played the game. The series filled the void left by Game of Thrones and became event television. After 2 years to see...
She has a face for smoke signals. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. Star Fury.
Series returned with shocking moments and rating highs, but another trend has become all too common in the fandom. Over on sister site Metacritic, Season 2 has earned a must-watch badge and universal acclaim with the current score of 81. These are from the shills, by the way. With reviews from over 42 established critics.
Established? Oh, no! Oh, I love it! Am I dead on accurate about this, or am I dead on accurate about this? The established critics. Can I translate that for you? The approved, pedigreed, cosmopolitan critic class. The correct people to evaluate and analyze movies. They understand film and cinema better than you because you are a Philistine. You are a peasant. You shop at Walmart. We are the cultured critics.
On the flip side, the user score sank the show to a generally unfavorable status, with 542 user reviews and 61% of them voting a 0 or a 1. The thing is, most of those reviews contain no actual critique and are still complaining about the woke culture and asking, can we just have straight characters? There is nothing of nuance or value. The latest episode, Day 1, has Ellie, played by Bella Ramsey, and Dina explore some of Seattle. oh yeah, let's see what some of exploring Seattle looks like. So this is the problem that people are having with this show. Woke bullshit virtue signaling.
Right, yeah, so this is exactly the scene I'm talking about. This is a previous scene that establishes that, quite aside from the fact that it's a bunch of, tons of rainbow flags and murals and all this stuff. But my point is that Ellie and Dina don't know what it means in the scene. They ask each other, what's with all the rainbows? I don't know what that means. And they say, I don't know. I guess they just liked, they thought they were pretty or something. That's basically their reaction. So then how does Ellie later understand that we can do all this gender bending? That, I'm going to be the dad in the relationship. She hasn't been indoctrinated in all this bullshit. They live in the zombie apocalypse. They don't have time for this kind of nut jobbery. Is that a word, Mr. Producer? Well, it's live. What do you want from me? I'm doing the best I can here.
Last of Us Season 2, Episode 4 was one of the wokest episodes of TV of all time. And right here...
Well, I agree with you, Wrangler. Peasants make cool stuff. Well, that's the point. It's actually, Shakespeare, why do we remember Shakespeare and none of the other playwrights of his time? Shakespeare made really entertaining plays for the peasants. That's what he made. He wrote for the common people, and they loved his plays. It was the average people, not the lords and ladies and kings and queens, although they enjoyed Shakespeare as well, but it was the average everyday people who loved Shakespeare's plays and made him immortal. And that's what he cared about writing. So the thing is, Shakespeare is now claimed by the elite intelligentsia as sophisticated, as highbrow. And it's like, but in his time, that's not what Shakespeare was. Shakespeare was more like Tom Cruise in his time. He was there to entertain the people. He worked for them, not for the lords and ladies. They may have been his patrons, but he was working for the average audience. So, to your point, yes, it was the peasants that created great things. It was the elitists that then appropriated those great things. And it was then the elitists who then fed it back to the people as this is what you should appreciate about these things and not the other thing you appreciate. It's just like Joker, folie à deux. You're not supposed to like Arthur Fleck because of the reasons you like Arthur Fleck. You're supposed to like Arthur Fleck because really he's a dark reflection of you. That's what it is. You are American, you are MAGA, and you're gross. And Arthur Fleck is meant to show you how gross you are. The Punisher is meant to show you that cops are gross. So you don't understand. So we're just going to have to teach you a lesson. We're going to have to punish you with Joker folie à deux.
It shows some of the imagery, and of course, the pride flags and all of this other bullshit. The fact that Ellie claims she's going to be a dad.
It's so weird too, because I did a weekend in downtown Seattle, and yes, very liberal. It's a very liberal city. But you know something? I did not see a lot of this. I did not. It was very liberal city. Actually, I saw more stuff related to BLM, frankly, than I did the rainbows. So it's not even, I didn't even see the side of Seattle when I was there. I did see graffiti and defaced walls and lots of ugly graffiti all over the place. Typical of essentially left-wing areas where they don't take any pride in their city and don't take care of it and piss all over it and turn it into a pigsty because they clearly don't respect the place in which they live. So I did see a lot of that. And I had the thought, what kind of people treat their own city this way? What kind of people treat their city this way? It was disgusting.
This show is garbage. Now, my last video I talked about this. I talked about how history is repeating itself because The Last of Us, the first video game. Everybody loved it. Everybody was happy with it. And then the second one came out, and the second one had all of these expectations. It had manipulative marketing, and ultimately we found out that Joel was murdered at the hands of Abby. Big Abby Pump as you hook up, holler if you hear me. And everything fell apart from that point in time. No one cared. Everyone hated on the game. The same narratives were going on during this time that are going on now about this TV show, and you see the TV show following in the same footsteps where...
Now, Wrangler, you can't say that, Wrangler. I shouldn't even... I can't read that. I can't read, quote, forget the ugly stick. She fell out of the ugly tree, hit every branch on the way down, and when she hit the ground, the tree fell on top of her. That would be rude to say that about Bella Ramsey, who is... Listen, it's not her fault. But as an actress, she's just a very unfortunate-looking woman, okay?
People that were watching the show enjoyed the first season. I watched the first 3 episodes, I believe. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes, and then I got to the 3rd episode, and I said, I'm not watching this garbage anymore. But people that have never seen the game were watching this show. Apparently, they were enjoying it. We get to season 2, and in this episode, of course... what happens is, or not this episode, but the episode, I think it was episode 2. I might be mistaken about this.
It was episode 4, I think.
But episode 2 is where Joel met the golf club.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was episode 2.
Just like he did in the video game at the hands of Big Abby Pump, and the show has been off the rails since then. And people are sick and tired.
It's exactly like it was in the first season, if you ask me. It is boring. It is slow. It is glacial. It is glacial. It wastes the most interesting zombie premise of all time. This is literally the most overrated show in the last 5 years. This show is glossy garbage. Garbage.
Of it. So you're seeing the same type of response to The Last of Us Season 2 as you saw with Last of Us Part 2, the video game, and the mainstream is running as much interference as they possibly can, and everyone is sick of it. No one cares about this show, and everyone is tired of the woke propaganda. Here's Data Racer, who says, The Last of Us 2 was already pretty woke, and the Pride Town made its appearance tonight. Episode 4 just beats you over the head with propaganda, which is exactly what people are sick and tired of. So no spot. There's no review bombing going on. What you have is people don't like the propaganda and the bullshit within this show, and they're voicing that displeasure. I've already said a million times, review bombing is the most pathetic excuse in the world. Now,
the problem with this is that it's the one directionality of it. You cannot advocate. If your goal with this show is to present gay characters with nuance and complexity, and your goal is to seek understanding and acceptance, all the stated goals of the woke hive mind, you must allow dissent. You must allow dissent. The audience has to be part of the conversation, and that's the problem. That is why this always fails, because they present this and they say, see, isn't this great? And then if they get the answer they don't like, they say, well, you're toxic and evil and you need more of it to be educated. The audience has to be allowed to reject it before they can accept it, if they ever will. My point is that the goal of wokeness is to enforce a cultural viewpoint, not to have a conversation, not to win hearts and minds, not to change anyone's minds. It is to force propaganda down our throats, and that is the seed of totalitarianism.
Does review bombing happen? Yes.
I love everything in the chat right now, by the way.
but not in the way that the media tries to portray it. Review bombing is always going to be part of fandom. Fan is short for fanatic. People get very, very emotionally invested, positively and negatively. There's a such thing as positive review bombing. There's a such thing as negative review bombing, because ultimately all it really is people giving their opinion based on what you're doing. And that's always going to be skewed in some way, shape, or form. But why don't I ever hear about positive review bombing when woke activists are out there upvoting something just because it has the message in it? Why don't I hear the complaints from the mainstream media about positive review bombing? Because it doesn't fit the narrative. So in reality, all review bombing truly is fans reacting passionately in positive and negative ways, because that's how fandom works, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let people have their voices, and if people are choosing to utilize their time and their energy to give a passionate answer to a product, positively or negatively, I don't think that's a bad thing at all, and I stand by that completely. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I agree. Hat tip, geeks and gamers. Jeremy, the commander. Now, we all know what we think of The Last of Us, but there is a type of fan that loves this kind of shit. The more woke, the more propagandistic, the more activist, the more pride flags, so stunning, so brave, the more girl boss dads, the happier they are. In fact, it's what they live for. They define their fandom by literally the things that are the opposite of good entertainment and storytelling. They are what's known as a shill. They suffer from a terrible disease. It's crippling, it's congenital, it's incurable. The prognosis is grim. It's called shillery by proxy. You don't want to catch it. It results in social awkwardness, slavish, almost fetishistic devotion to Disney and everything they produce, hive mind thinking, and a lifetime supply of virginity in most cases. It's a terrible disease, and it makes me sick. But there is a man with a cast iron stomach, a professional, a professor, a scientist. He studies the shill. He studies their symptoms, and he searches feverishly for a cure. A cure that will one day cure the shill of their illness and return them to the ranks of normal, regular humans. But until that day, his prescription is clear. We must have healthy, boundless, copious doses of ridicule and laughter at their expense. His name is Mr. Grizzy, and he is studying The Last of Us shills. And as Redoubt Productions says, bring forth the shilling. Take it away, Mr. Producer.
Holy shit. I'm gonna be a dad.
Dude. Listen. I mean this in all sincerity. I have nothing against Bella Ramsey, okay? But Jesus. I mean, it is the Billy Bob Thornton. Do I have this? Can I find this? I really need it. I need it, Mr. Producer. I know it's delay of game, but I need it. I could probably just search. I know I have it. It's in my files somewhere. No, I can't. It'll take me too long. Okay, forget it. But it's just that scene from Bad Santa when Billy Bob Thornton says to the kid when he finds out his name, he's like, "Your name is Thurman Merman," and he's just like, Jesus. That's what I'm thinking of right here. What the fuck were they thinking with her? I'll tell you exactly what they were thinking. They were thinking the fans are going to hate this chick. That's what they were thinking. And that's why they loved it. They loved it. She's so unconventional.
I'm gonna be a dad.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You mean you were her other mother, right?
No, I didn't pop her out.
Sorry. If you were human, you'd both be called the mother, regardless of which one gave birth.
Wow. This, we are never seeing this in Mass Effect again. Oh my God. We are never going to get this Mass Effect ever again. But yes, this was a conversation in Mass Effect. Captain salute to the renegade right there. But he's like, this whole, I remember this conversation. I've had it many times in my many, many playthroughs. But yes, you basically are, this is Liara Tassone's quote unquote father. She's the one that did not give birth. And so you have this conversation where it's like, well, you'd both be, she says, I'm the father. And he says, if you were human, you'd both be the mother. Yeah. And in the context of this scene too, the Asari don't have the male gender. They don't see themselves as having any gender. They only, the reason that they refer to each other as she is because it's a translation from their language to ours. So essentially the translation matrix is putting it in a form we understand as humans, but that's not even how they think of it. And the games always make this very clear. So yeah, it's, God, I miss good sci-fi.
Okay, so this week's episode of The Last of Us had, bro, I'm just going to let these people tell you.
It had a little bit of everything. Had some genuine love.
Wait, no. Warning breath.
It had some sexy time.
Oh my God, it's fucking embarrassing to even watch this show. It's just like, God, they're laying it on so thick. It's so clear. They don't even give a crap about zombies. They don't give a crap about the apocalypse. This is the only thing they want to do in this show. To episode 3 of this show, of season 1, I saw this coming. I was like, wow, they just had an entire episode of a show that had nothing to do with the main characters, the main narrative, in the 3rd episode. Could there have ever been a clearer signal of what this show was going to be?
That is a fucking woman. Holy shit. That is a woman putting a fucking toilet brusher in her ass, and it's fitting pretty well.
They take time in this show in particular to have these, very intimate, sort of lovely, queer romances.
Don't care.
And this scene, this romance, I guess, went from 0 to 100 real quick.
You're immune? I'm gonna have a baby.
Yeah, let's go.
Fuck.
She's like, I thought you were going to die.
Yeah.
She's pregnant. Whatever. Let's just forget about things for however long this takes.
I'm immune. I'm pregnant.
I think it's just a lot of emotions. They almost died twice.
True.
Yeah, and there's infected and quite possibly survivors from the WLF that might be searching for you, literally still outside. But yeah, perfect time for this.
And then kiss her, and then they got it on. And boy, oh boy, did they get it on. It was spicy.
And she's like, F it, I'm just going to go for it.
She's pregnant. And then they fuck.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Any
Just what a... Did that fuck? These shills, man.
Any queer person who ever grew up in the closet
where they had a crush on one of their friends and was always waiting for that little hint of a breadcrumb, like felt those scenes.
Yes, and then we all know what happens after a closeted gay confesses those feelings to said friend.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh,
Shit, dude. I'll turn that gay-ass music on.
Ellie. Yeah. I'm pregnant.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh! Gay!
Wow. People don't like that Ellie doesn't look like Ellie to them. Again, one, because they don't think Bella's hot enough, which I think is a very weird thing to say about a character who's a child.
Oh, really? Well, sir, since you brought up the subject, you know what
Get him, Chrissy! Get him, Chrissy!
This is a really weird thing to say about a character who is a child. Let's cut to a compilation.
Once those secrets are revealed and nothing is standing between them, they fuck.
That feeling of watching somebody in real time display their love.
Yeah, I got an erection.
You guys know how I get during sex scenes.
And you can't get pregnant twice, so this is perfect.
She's just checking to see if she's pregnant. She's like, hang on, is there really a baby up there? Hang on, give me a second. Let me go have a look.
What the fuck?
Please don't just let this be hormones. Please be in love.
Oh my God. Wackos, man. Wackos.
With her too.
Hey, those zombies aren't the only ones that are coming. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, Hector.
Well, with all that, it sounds like you've got a pretty big night planned, huh?
And because they just have such unbelievable chemistry and they're both really hot.
Chris
Just like,
I'll do some 16 years old dry humping. That's as close as I'm getting. No, I just meant like
Oh my God, this is my reaction. What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with them? They're out of their minds. They would never speak this way about the exact same scene between a male and a female. They just would never speak this way. They might say you might say oh, that was nice to see them finally get together. Oh, I was waiting for that to happen. Nothing in this show merits this level of reaction except the obsession, the preoccupation with the message. It's the message. So stunning, so brave. Oh my God, there's so much stunning and brave in this.
like that thing that 16-year-olds do before they know about sex when they're like, get.
You got a lot of problems, don't you?
Did they finger through the pants?
Well, no, she put her.
Or no, but like.
But yeah,
but then
it seems like
clothed?
they kept all of their clothes on for this. Yes.
Yeah, do me a favor, hit the like button if you agree with me that it's actually these freaks, these perverts.
And if you're like, but she's 19 in the second game, a 19-year-old's a child. I hate to break it to you. Did they finger through the pants?
Who are actually the weirdos.
What? Like, what? What is even happening? Star Fury, get your flamethrower. Get your flamethrower, Star Fury. Oh my God. Oh my God. These people are wackos, man. Wackos. Star Fury says, I now want to become celibate after seeing Bella Ramsey have sex. Oh, God. You're telling me, Star Fury? I sat through that whole episode, man. It was nasty. It was just, you know what's so awful is everything about her. Go back and watch my live streams and my videos from a year ago. I was saying this about the first season. I never liked Bella Ramsey as this character. I never liked this show. I don't like Pedro Pascal. I don't like the pacing of it. I think this show has been trash from the beginning. And it bugs me that so many people think it's good, and it's not. It's not good at all. Even the critical drinker kind of likes some of it. And I'm like, this show is garbage. Starfear says, I want the shepherd punches the journalist clip right there. 19 is not a child. But that's not even the point, Star Fury. Like, it's so... These wackos are completely incoherent from 1 second to the next. They, like, 1 second he's like, oh my God. Oh, all those comments about a child. A 19-year-old's a child. Also, was she fingering her, like, through the clothing? What the fuck, man? Like, it's so bizarre. They can't hold one consistent thought in their heads.
Finally, I don't have to keep the secret anymore. Whoa!
And please subscribe to the channel as well. Help us hit that 30,000 subscriber milestone.
I'd appreciate it. I really would.
And unfortunately, nobody killed these two in their sleep, so I guess we have to move on now.
I know.
like that. That's good. That's
Such a
good
tragedy.
shit.
Oh my golly. Woohoo. Spicy.
Ooh, yeah. Flick that bean, yeah.
Wow, what a completely different thing than the game.
Yeah.
Completely different.
This is how you improve upon source material. This is great.
What?
They have great chemistry.
They
I
really
legit
do.
can't. I can't right now.
Yeah.
God, these people don't give a shit about a zombie apocalypse. They don't care about survival after the fall. There's no questions circulating in their minds about can you cure the cordyceps plague. They are here to be fucking wacko Raylos, man. Just weird fan fiction wackos from a Tumblr thread.
God.
It's so good.
Yeah, it is
It's
so
hot in
good.
here. It's.
I wonder if they did chemistry tests. They must have, because
They had
this
to
is
have.
insane.
Yeah.
And the only complaint that this dumb broad has is that she wanted more out of this lesbian sex scene.
Absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
why you had to cut away from the full-on juicing? Like, why?
What?
19-year-old.
Oh my God.
I'm not trying to see him naked. I'm just like, I just like that they were together. Okay? It
But
made
you
me
make us
happy.
watch the burning of somebody's hand, but you can't have us watch a little
Exactly.
bit more of
Exactly.
the...
Just a
What? What? I have no words. I have no words for this. What? I guess I know who this show's made for.
little bit more juicing.
I have been in television for 24 years.
I just came to get something to eat.
And I have very seldom been at a loss for words.
The show has a really great job at being able to do gay romance that brings me to tears.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir, it does. Because it's the only thing it does. It's the only thing it does. God, these absolute psychopaths, these absolute crazy activist losers. This is why all of Hollywood is in flames. My God, these locusts, they have destroyed absolutely every intellectual property, every single one, and they're looking for more. These lunatics that have destroyed the craft and the art form of storytelling and cinema. It makes me sick.
Done.
My God, I don't know what was worse, the show or these people, but thanks for watching. Make sure to check out some of the other
I do
Last
not
of Us
know,
content already live on the
Mr.
channel.
Grizzy. My God, my just hat tip Grizzy for how does he do it? How does he sit through that shit? It's unreal. That was a particularly bad one. I got to tell you, that was worse than usual. The shills, they really outdid themselves this time. I mean, Jesus. What the hell's the matter with them? Oh God. It's like it's like they're discussing pornography. It's unbelievable that they're sitting there getting off on this, and it's like just fucking have it. You can have the shit. This is what they want to turn Star Wars into. This is what they want to turn Star Trek into, and Doctor Who, and everything else. They want Warhammer to be like this. They're gonna have trans space marines. Disgusting. Star Fury says, "You want me juicing?" Juicing. Oh my god. You're right, Universal. Seattle is kind of the home of grunge and counterculture, or it was. But it's an otherwise beautiful city that its inhabitants treat like shit and trash and piss on and graffiti and they turn it into something disgusting. So that is the level of pride they have in their own environment and their own city, and it makes sense because it fits with very disorganized, incoherent minds, I would say. Seriously, I was walking down the streets of Seattle, this gorgeous skyline, some of the beautiful restaurants and shops, and there's just disgusting graffiti everywhere, trash. It's filthy. It's filthy and disgusting. And I'm like, what kind of people treat their city this way? What kind of people live like this? Certainly not people I admire. Why do we allow our cities to become this way in this country? I seriously can't understand it. Why do we allow this? It's like, oh, Seattle's such a great city. San Francisco, they trash it. They absolutely trash it. But that's not the subject of this episode. Hey, let's talk about something else, shall we? Do we want to do, Mr. Producer, Thunderbolts, or let's talk about Thunderbolts? Because apparently Thunderbolts is good. No, it isn't. It's trash. Absolute trash. However, there is an interesting article that I want to cover. Actually, wrong browser, Mr. Producer. I'm going to need that over here. Yes. Variety has a report. Old Bobby Iger over there at Disney had an interesting thought. Quote, Bob Iger says, Thunderbolts is the first and best example of Marvel's new movie strategy. We lost a little focus by making too much. Can I translate that for you? Thunderbolts have saved Marvel. Marvel is saved. Disney's CEO, Bob Iger, has admitted the company's film slate has struggled in post-pandemic times by focusing too much on quantity and not enough on quality. The Marvel Cinematic Universe in particular hasn't restored its luster since the epic culmination of 2019's Avengers Endgame. There have been hits since the coup, such as Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, aka Doctor Strange Mom. But success has been wildly inconsistent, as tentpoles like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Nausea and The Marvels and Captain America: Brave New Mothman were among Disney's first comic book franchise installments to lose money since the MCU brought superhero films in vogue. However, Iger views Thunderbolts, which debuted last weekend to $76 million, as the first and best example of the studio's new priority to make better movies, even if that means there are fewer of them. Quote, we all know that in our zeal to flood our streaming platform with more content, that we turned to all of our creative engines, including Marvel, and had them produce a lot more, Iger said during Wednesday's investor call. We've also learned over time that quantity does not necessarily beget quality, and frankly, we've all admitted to ourselves that we've lost a little focus by making too much. By consolidating a bit and having Marvel focus much more on their films, we believe that this will result in better quality. I think the first and best example is Thunderbolts. I feel very good about that. Thunderbolts, which centers on lesser-known heroes compared to Captain America, Captain African American, and Thor, started slower than most Marvel installments, but analysts believe it will hold steady at the box office because critics and audiences embraced the film, which boasts an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes and an encouraging A- grade on CinemaScore exit polls. It appears to be a step in the right direction after a string of dismally reviewed films like Captain America, Brave New Mothman, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Nausea, and The Marvels. Disney is also stoking interest in Thunderbolts by revealing the meaning behind the asterisk in the film's title. Oh, it's the new Avengers! It's the new Avengers! The film's title, the ragtag group at the helm, will henceforth be known as the New Avengers Consume Content. Consume content. They'll make an appearance in 2026's Avengers Doomsday. Disney has long been the dominant studio at the box office. However, it has failed in recent years to match its own stratospheric standards, at least commercially, but Iger believes the company's next 18 months will resemble 2019, a banner period for the Magic Kingdom. In that year, Disney earned $11.12 billion globally, by far the biggest result in history by a single studio, as 7 blockbusters grossed at least $1 billion. Quote, I have a lot of confidence that our upcoming slate, Iger said, referring to films like Lilo and Stitch, Zootopia, Folie à Deux, and Fantastic Four, The First Steps, and Avatar, Fire and Ash, which will close out 2025. Then, in 2026, there's The Mandalorian and Grogu, Avengers Doomsday, and Toy Story 5. That's quite a lineup, he said, adding it's as strong as any slate I've seen in a long time. Working in the IP mine. Is that it? That's all of it? Okay, so there you go. So Bob Iger, Marvel has been saved. The Thunderbolt is good. It's good. Let me grab this. Let me grab Dave Cullen's video, because I'm curious what his thoughts are on this. I think he liked the film. I'm not 100% sure. I have not watched this because I just want to go in cold and just see what he thinks. So this is the title of the video. He says, reject groupthink, embrace objectivity. Now here's the question, chat. My dear sailors and starnauts. Is he saying reject groupthink that hates the movie or likes the movie? I'm curious. Let's just see.
You know the way I titled my review video for Thunderbolts, Thunderbolts Review? It's a good movie, because I thought it was a good movie. Shocker, I liked it. But I was thinking about something today, that if I titled the video Thunderslop, Woke and Weak, and opened the video by saying something like, well guys, it's finally here, Thunderbolts, a drab, dreary, depressing, generic, by-the-numbers slop fest filled with angsty and unlikable characters who no one cares about, a thinly developed antagonist, a bloated and underwhelming story with no reason for being, a messy derivative blah blah, etc., etc.
Most of that is accurate.
And I could say all of those things, and I could play to a certain crowd, but it wouldn't be my opinion. Certainly those kinds of criticisms are deserved for other movies, but not for Thunderbolts, in my opinion. Although, if I'd gone down such a negative and sensationalized route, I could have probably brought in way more views than the video got.
I don't believe that. I seriously don't. I don't agree with that at all. I think that people are much more interested in celebrating things they like than in ragging on things they hate. I sort of dislike. I dislike every time that I have to say, this was shit. I really do. And as I said, the characters are reasonably likable, and the first act of the film wasn't terrible. But here's the problem. I don't care. I don't care whether it's clickbait or not. This movie was dismally boring in the third act and made me want to leave the theater. That's it. That's it. It's a badly made film. It's a badly plotted film. I don't understand. I think that the standard has gotten so low, we have completely forgotten what it was like to even see a Phase 1, 2, or 3 Marvel movie. This movie, even if it's not as bad as the other crap that Marvel made, it's not by much. This has nothing to do with clickbait.
My view count is way down for that video because I didn't trash it and try to garner hate views, which has become a bit of a cottage industry on YouTube. I was very pleased to see that Thunderbolts has sparked an interesting schism in YouTube film review circles. It's nice to see the echo chamber bubble is being burst. The folks...
Yeah, as if there was no echo chamber. That's the whole point. This is an odd thing that Dave is raising here. He's just as unhappy with modern Star Trek as I am. He's just as unhappy with the state of Doctor Who. It's not an echo chamber. It's people saying what they think, and it's a lot of garbage content that's being crammed down our throats.
Over at Film Threat hosted a debate between multiple reviewers, including The Angry Badger, Dane James from Verbal Riot Show, Nerd Cookies, Paul Chado, Robert Meyer Burnett, and Derek Anderson. It was respectful, and there was a divergence of opinions. I think the issue with our little sphere of YouTube sometimes is that some people have lost the ability to just enjoy a movie for what it is because of how hurt and let down they've been by so many,
This is such bullshit. This is such bullshit. If that were true, there's plenty of movies I would have not enjoyed on principle. I would have not enjoyed Wicked on principle because it's full of the message and it's a bunch of woke casting or whatever. But it wasn't. It was well done. It was well made. I really hate this bullshit narrative. We are not the reason. We are not the reason for all this negativity. The incompetent, stupid people that make this crap, cram it down our throats, and then call us bigots when we object to it, they're the ones that have created this situation, not us. We are responding to all of our childhood heroes, our classic comic books, our favorite intellectual properties being destroyed and gutted by industry locusts who don't care. They lack caring and they lack competence for the source material or for the audience. They did this, not us.
Disney, Marvel, woke movies and TV shows over the years, some people are, I think understandably, very primed to focus on and look for negatives in films and amplify them out of all reasonable proportion. I think this is something we need to be aware of.
All reasonable proportion? Let me just describe one scene in Thunderbolts, just one for you. There is a scene in which, what's his name? Sentry? That's the name of the character. Yeah, Sentry. Bob. He's just he's just discovering his powers. It's a scene at night, right? And there's a SWAT team trying to shoot at him. Or rather, they do shoot at him, and it looks like he's dead. And the Thunderbolts drive away in a Humvee, okay? Now, it's the middle of the night. It's dark. They've driven away. Sentry Bob flies up into the sky, into the dark night sky, and suddenly the Thunderbolts look out the window of their Humvee and they see him. Oh, look what's happening. It's like, it's not possible. It's not possible to see a human up in the stratosphere. He doesn't have any color. He's not illuminated in any way. He's just a human figure that flies up into the stratosphere. And the characters are able to track and see him fall. It's completely ridiculous. There's no visual continuity whatsoever. My point is that's an objective, massive, idiotic flaw in the movie, and the movie is filled with that crap. How are people arriving at the conclusion this is a good movie? I honestly don't even understand.
Of when we watch stuff, because you move in certain circles online and you can fall into self-reinforcing echo chambers. As a content creator myself, it's easy to develop a kind of a shtick, a mode of operating where you're the guy who provides a certain type of contrarian or needlessly negative position on virtually everything because it becomes an expectation of a significant portion of your subscriber base, of your audience. In a weird way.
Well, yes, I think Star Fury expects it of me, but that does not mean that that is my purpose.
There's a kind of comfort in that because it becomes an easy way to approach almost any new movie or TV show. Before you've even watched it, you've already to some...
No. Yeah, we're just going to wrap this up here. So, Dave, let me just help you out here. This is a you problem. And look, I appreciate the self-reflection. I appreciate the idea that, like, we should be cognizant of this. But seriously, you're talking about yourself here. Because the fact of the matter is, I go to movies with a spirit of openness. I go to even as I'm watching a movie and forming an opinion, I'm often questioning that opinion. I'm often saying, like, am I being too judgmental of this? And I'm like, and I try to make a conscious effort to let go of the thought process and just experience the movie. And most of the time, I'm coming at it with a spirit of openness. Now, obviously, there are certain projects with so much negativity already that it's a different story, such as Snow White. But the fact of the matter is, like, I was actually prepared to not enjoy Wicked, and I didn't the first, 20 minutes of it. I still find the first 20 minutes of that movie pretty tedious. But once it gets going, I was surprised that I was like, that's pretty good. I'm actually kind of enjoying the choreography. I'm liking this. So my point is, my spirit towards films is always open. And if anything, I'm tired of being slapped in the face. That's what I'm tired of. I'm tired of giving these films the benefit of the doubt, and every single time, they slap me in the face. I went to Joker Folie à Deux hoping it was going to be a good film, despite what I was hearing about it. And it was crap. All right, that's enough of that. What's next in the stack of stuff? What is Yes, I forgot. Okay, cool. We have the Thunderbolts pitch meeting. Here we go. Okay, hat tip Ryan George pitch meeting. I was so excited for this. I'm like, yes, he released a new pitch meeting. I love these. Okay, roll tape.
So, you have some new Marvel for me? Yes, sir, I do. It's time to put an end to Phase 6. Or 5? I think it might be 4. Is it 4? Maybe it's 5. You know, nobody knows for sure. Okay, now I have to say, things have not been super great around here recently, and I have a little bit of fear that my butt might be in danger. No worries, sir. This is gonna turn all of that around. It's called Thunderbolts Asterisk. Asterisk? I just said I'm afraid my butt's in danger. No, like an asterisk, like a little symbol? Oh, okay. Wait, why would we put that at the end of a title? Because there's gonna be a big twist at the end where it turns out this team we're following in this movie, they weren't the Thunderbolts, they were the new Avengers. Oh, that is a nice surprise. Thank you. I'm gonna tell everyone as soon as the movie comes out. What? So what happens in this thing? Well, Elena's doing missions for that Valentina boss lady, but she's sad because she feels like life is meaningless. Oh, has she not heard of money? Because that's what gives my life meaning. Right. I shouldn't say just money, also things. Yeah, right. Well, I guess she hasn't heard of money or things, so she's sad. That is sad. So Valentina sends Yelena on a new mission, but she's got something up her sleeve. Is it elbows? Well, technically, yes. I knew it. But also, she sent all her field agents to the same place to have them kill each other. Uh-oh, which agents? We're talking frickin' Ghost, U.S. Agent, Taskmaster. Oh, Taskmaster. You know, I've been wanting to see more of Taskmaster on the big screen. Yeah, so Taskmaster immediately gets shot in the head and dies. Oh my god.
It's so bizarre. To this day, I cannot understand this because Taskmaster is in all the marketing material, and it was literally like a red shirt just getting killed off. What's up with that?
hiding, and they accidentally let this character Bob out of the container he was in. So he's like, hi, I'm Bob. That means nothing to me. But then it turns out this room's an incinerator, and Valentina wants to burn them all to cover her tracks. How do they figure that out? A 2-minute timer appears, and it starts getting warm. Probably shouldn't have put a timer on the wall for the...
It's so true. A 2-minute timer appears. This really isn't even the point where the film starts getting bad, though. Like, up to this point, it's not a terrible movie. It's like, it's after this point, it starts getting bad.
Incinerees to see. I guess this was a timer that she also wanted incinerated? That makes sense. So does Ghost go through the wall and let them all out? Well, actually, Valentina has this sound thing installed to stop Ghost from doing
Oh, here it comes, barely an inconvenience. Here it comes.
That very smart. Gonna be tough for them to get out now. Actually, it's gonna be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, cause see, the power source for the thing is in the room with them, so they destroy that and Ghost is good to go. Probably shouldn't have put that in the room with them. I guess this was a power source that Valentina also wanted incinerated. That makes sense. So then there's gonna be this thing of, oh, is Ghost gonna come back and help them? But then she does. Okay. And then one by one, each character has a moment almost exactly like that, and they escape. Aha, sounds like they're a reluctant team now. That's exactly what they are. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Wow. But then Valentina and her team are there, so Bob sacrifices himself so they can escape. Well, that's nice of him. Turns out he's freaking bulletproof and he can fly and he's got a bunch of powers. Oh, he does? Yeah, we'll get back to that later. But then Red Guardian shows up and picks up the team. How does he know where they are? Well, see, he's a limo driver now and he was driving Valentina around and overheard the whole plan. Valentina doesn't vet her drivers at all? Not even a little bit. In fact, his limo is called Red Guardian.
How would she have not known? How would she have not known? By the way, this limo looks like trash. Like, look at it. It looks like absolute trash. How would she have not known who was driving her? She literally has dossiers on like all the superheroes. She has them all under her thumb. She wouldn't know this guy. She wouldn't know his relationship.
In limo service, literally the superhero name of the father of one of her main operatives. Yeah, she should have caught that one, but she didn't. Anyway, so he picks them up. But then
you see what I mean? The plot in this is a mess. It's nonsense.
Get apprehended by Bucky. He's from like 8 other MCU projects. He sure is, sir. And in this movie, he's a congressman, but he doesn't like it. How come? Because it's stupid and he prefers punching things. That makes sense. Why'd he even do that in the first place? Unclear, but he also wants to stop Valentina, so he joins the squad. What are they, some kind of suicide squad? For legal purposes, no, they are not. Right. Well, it'll be nice to have a super soldier serum guy on the team with the other super soldier serum guy and the other super soldier serum guy. Yeah, making it a 3-pack. So now Bob is with Valentina because she wants to make him into a superhero she can control. Okay. But the thing is, he doesn't even know how to control his powers. So what does Valentina do? She tells him, hey, learn to control your powers, and he does that pretty much immediately. Well, okay, that was pretty straightforward. It was. And the thing about this guy that we're just gonna kind of explain right before it happens is that he's got a god complex, so she compliments him, and that means she's in control of him. Just like that? Just like that. So she calls him Sentry, and when the team shows up to stop Valentina, he kicks all their butts. Oh boy, a very powerful former Bob. But then he realizes, hey, why am I listening to this lady? And he turns her on. What? Sorry, he turns on her. Well, that makes a ton more sense. So Valentina's assistant uses a kill switch on Sentry, and her and Valentina get out of there. They don't stick around a minute to make sure he's actually dead. Well, listen, sir, nobody's ever done that in a movie, and we're not about to be the first. That's a good point. So anyway, it turns out that this kill switch triggered something inside of Sentry and turned him into this dark, shadowy, void version of himself. Oh, I have one of those following me around. Really? Because this is like a metaphor for depression and whatnot. Oh, mine just tells me to do things. Say that something is tight. Something is tight. What? What? Anyway, so this freaking void character starts attacking everybody in New York City. I mean, if people are still living in New York City at this point, they have like no self-preservation instinct. Yeah, so he starts turning all these danger magnets into shadows. What do you mean? Well, it seems like they're dead, but really they get sent to these shadow places called shame rooms. I've got one of those set up in my basement, if you know what I mean. Gross. So everybody gets sent to these places where they gotta like relive their worst moments. So Yelena and the team voluntarily go down there and they find Bob. How? By finding Bob. Nice. So Bob starts like beating up his shadow self, but it's not working. So what do? Well, the team all gets together and give him a big hug and tell him that he's not alone, and so that calms him down and the day is saved. So we're doing 2 movies in a row where the big main conflict is resolved by getting somebody to calm down a little bit. That's right, and then Valentina presents them to the press as the new Avengers. Amazing. So what do you think? Well, I mean, technically this is an Avengers movie, so technically this is gonna be a monster at the box office. The biggest we've seen in a while.
There you go. Hat tip Ryan George of Pitch Meeting. Yes, indeed, Mr. Producer. Star Fury says, I am the reason for the negativity. I hate stuff on principle now. Yes, I understand. I understand your thinking. Star Fury. I mean, it's fine if you like it. If you like Thunderbolts, people liked Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I didn't understand that either. All right, well, I think we need one to close it out, Mr. Producer. Yes, I think it is. We're getting close to that time. It's Mother's Day. You gotta go call your mom. And so do I. So, how about this one, Mr. Producer? Get me a Fleekazoid video, Mr. Producer. Hat tip Fleekazoid. So now, if you don't know, there is a game out called Schedule 1. It's a little indie game where you basically just build a drug empire. It's pretty funny. And so Fleekazoid has a report on it for us. How one man cooked Ubisoft. Schedule 1 review. Take it away.
All right, class of 25, I'm going to start this course with a little disclaimer. Don't do drugs. Sell them. Sell them to everyone you see. And the business we like to say, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it could have been if everyone was on coke. Sell me this meth. You can't. That's why you need my course. Free lesson. You see a cop, you go, hey, buddy, you like donuts? How about donut-flavored cocaine? You'll get arrested. But you know where you'll get sent? To a magical place brimming with potential customers. When you feel your heart burning, your chest tightening, that isn't your penance for eating that gas station burrito earlier. That's the Jeff Bezos inside of you crawling to get out so he can hire undocumented Venezuelans for pennies on the dollar. Welcome to Side Hustlers Correspondence Course, somewhat proudly making you the most okay drug lords since 1983. Some people like to say what we're teaching here at Side Hustlers Correspondence Course is bad, that we shouldn't do it because drugs are bad. Who says that? Bill Cosby? Pee Wee Herman? Nancy Reagan?
Say no to drugs.
She needed a hit of my slippery dong and to chill the fuck out if you ask me. Who else? Will Smith? How's that working out for him? I'm moving more crack than the CIA. I'm thriving. I'm in my lane. Besides, what else should I be doing? Playing Ubisoft games? Their new shit's a black hole of soul. It'll siphon the soul out of your body through your controller. Schedule 1 was made by a single man named Tyler, and that man's soul is felt behind every Chinese shop owner that I turned into Shaq. You wanna know how a man cooked Ubisoft? He let you put a horse's love lava on crack. Case closed. Case reopened.
Jesus.
You wanna know another?
Oh my god. Oh, he's right. Hit Schedule 1. You can mix some interesting ingredients into your drugs.
The reason for how he cooked Ubisoft? This is how I feel when I'm playing Schedule 1. This is what happens when you play AC Shadows. Hey, you! What do you think of Assassin's Creed Shadows? Do you want to be that guy shitting his soul out of every orifice? Good. Then let's get started with a tip from Side Hustlers Correspondence Course alumni Fleeka Lagasse. He runs the best cooking channel on the hub. You're gonna love this guy. Hey folks, welcome back to a little bam 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 in the morning. Fleekle tip number 1. Don't buy a horse spunk from Glock. They overcharge you because their supply comes from champion horses. You know, ones that win races and beauty pageants. They're at least top 3. We get ours for so cheap because we buy that long shot horse jizz. That 1,000,000 to 1 hip dysplasia waddler that never pays off until he pays off big. But for me, he always pays off big. You see this shelf? This all came from a horse that placed 27 out of 27 in 2009's Kentucky Derby. Keep this under your hat, but I've got a sweatshop full of gunk from a horse that does Civil War reenactments, and he gets real method with it too. I mean, I can't tell you which side he fights for, but let's just say he does not like rap music. Except Kanye. He's fine with Kanye. Bam! Thanks, Fleekle. I didn't really need to fucking know any of that. Now let's get into the first module of the Side Hustlers Correspondence course, Production. If you've ever played Cooking Mama, you're ready to succeed in the drug-making business, because all this is Cooking Mama for crackheads. Remember playing on your DS going, grate the ginger, prepare the chicken, deep fry it. Same thing here. Pour in the low-quality pseudo, now the acid, now the phosphate. Mix it, boil it, bake it, smash it into rocks. Then mix in a little Viagra so all your customers stay hard, motherfucker. I'll bump a little bit of this before church so God knows I love him. Cutting your drugs is the X factor of this game. It's what separates the crack from the cocaine. But we ain't cutting our product with fent. We're respectable entrepreneurs. We're cutting our product with whatever the hell we find on the shelves of our local 7-Eleven. You start with donuts, then you level up in the CIA database to unlock everything from dick pills to gasoline to a horse's love lotion. You cut the product gets a new effect, now you can charge more. Some of these effects include turning your skin green, turning you into a woman, tropic thundering, or Trudeauing it, if you're a Canuck. And if you want to kill all your customers for 3 days, the explosive effect. But the real fun part is making an 8-part recipe that combines all these effects together. And that's what it's all about, not the money. It's about inflicting so much shit on your customers that when you see them on the street pimping that Chernobyl race swap, you go, I know what kind of man you are. Just pretend this game is Evil Genius, and if you don't know what that game is, pretend you do. Only one effect is good, but 8 effects and your customers will be so gacked out of their minds that they'll feel like they're committing identity fraud on themselves. Once Scooby gets these snacks, he'll be solving the mystery of the afterlife. Now, most people cut their drugs with a complete obedience to the bag. They just want to charge the most, pass it off to the dealers, and sit back on their golden shitter singing show tunes and getting tugged off by Thai hookers. Me? Whenever I make a new strain, I try to tap into what Michelangelo was thinking when he was painting the Sistine Chapel. I try to invoke the muses and listen to their song of a booger sugar strain that makes someone fly while being electrified, while shitting themselves, while convulsing, while being a ginger. I'll puff past that joint to your uncle and Bob's your aunt. Now he can't drive anymore. I like to make a story with my yayo, man, like Hemingway, man. If you look like McLovin, I'll turn you into McLizzo. Enjoy starring in the next Die Hard movie. The money comes and the money goes, but hiring a gypsy to spit on my weed so I can curse your bloodline for 1,000 years? That's legacy, baby. Let's go over to Fleekle Lagasse with another tip. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Tip number 3. Addicts will come up to you in a street asking for product, and if you don't have anything, they're gonna stab you. So always have a wicked bag of witch weed on you. If you come up to me in the street threatening me for product, I'm gonna give you some shit that'll make your dick fly off like a magic broomstick. Or at least give you a taste of...
Well, that's Fleekazoid for you. That's Schedule 1. Mr. Producer, if you would. I think I'd be terrible at that game. I always play the hero, so I'd probably just make really, really good drugs that worked as advertised. And that's really not the spirit of Schedule 1. So, you know, there you have it. What's that? Thunderbolts will lose money, says Universal. Well, honestly, I don't care one way or the other. It'll get what it deserves. That's my view. Well, Mr. Producer, we've had quite the barn burner, have we not? Here on the Capns Cast, on the Swords of Starships channel. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Working on a member stream for tomorrow, most likely. Working on some reviews, got lots of editing to do. Tom Cruise, the final movie star. Well, that's our show for this Mother's Day. Go tell that special lady in your life how much you love her. I am your host, Captain Garrett of the Swords of Starships channel. And until next time, I will see you out there.